okay, it's going to have to be the books. Today, she is back for more abuse, I guess. I don't know. Maybe she liked coming on the show a lot last time.
I loved it.
Heidi Angell joins. Is this your first time on the Twitch version, though, where it's
It
actually...
is. Yeah, last time we did a pre-recorded in advance, so you have the opportunity ahead of me, and you didn't. And I was like, I like this guy.
Well, no. Well, here's a little secret about my audio. I tried to avoid editing as much as I could because, again, one of those. So Joe will tell you this infamous episode I did with Con Maverick way back back in the day.
I love Con. Yeah,
Con's awesome, but there's this one episode. If you go back in the audio archive, I think it's like 375 or something. It's somewhere in that range, maybe a little farther back. We started in one restaurant and going to the other. Now, most people would have edited out the transition of going from one to the other. I actually kept it in.
There you go. It's as real and live as it gets.
Well, I had this, like, one thing I've learned. I'm going to take a sip of this coffee here.
You're good.
One thing I've learned doing shows is that you need a little bit of chaos. Even in storytelling, there has to be a little bit of chaos too. If it's too polished,
formulaic,
you can be formulaic. I think the thing about formula is if that's exactly what you want to be, there's nothing wrong with it. You just got you go all in. That's how I feel about formula. Yeah. You have to go all in on formula, right? But you gotta make that. That's a conscious choice you gotta make up front. It's like if I'm in, I'm in. I'm going all the way in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That cheesy Hallmark movie style plot. It's mine, all mine. I'm going to own that. I'm going to be.
I like the chaos. Thanks. I like to be surprised and not predicted.
Yeah, but it's not just surprise. It's imperfection. Right. It's not even just really surprise. Like surprise, yes. Even in a formulaic story, you have to do a little twist on the expectations somewhere in the story. You have to.
You should, but too many of them don't.
Well, it's where I can okay, so how do I put this? I can sometimes guess an ending of a book or a movie or a story, right? I can sometimes... Oh, shit.
As long as you didn't spill the coffee, right?
Nope. Nope. Hold on a second here. There we go. I'm back. Am I back?
Oh, I never lost you.
No, oh, okay, cool.
You lost me. You couldn't hear me.
No, I heard you. I knocked my microphone out. So.
Oh, yeah, I never went out. You're good.
Oh, wow. That is weird and awesome at the same time. Magical. Okay, no, what I was going to say, see, that raw, imperfect moment. What's important in a story, I find, is I can figure out how the story's going to go from beginning to end. The hero can walk away or the hero dies or, like, there's only so many possible outcomes. That's not interesting. It's the journey. What twists and turns in the journey can I make? One of my favorite examples of movies that I thought ruined it for me was The Dark Knight Rises with Batman. It's an old movie at this point, but I'll never forget, like 20 minutes into the movie, he had Alfred talk about the ending of his dream for Bruce. And I'm like, the only thing he did not answer in that moment was which girl he was going to end up with. Because it literally was the only question I had from that moment on. It's the only question. It still has, like, the movie still has its good moments to it. I think Bane's how Bane played out in there is inspired. Although it's my second favorite Bane. My favorite Bane is actually Bane from the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Love it.
He's hilarious. He's like the big like impertinent uncle that just he has his moments of wisdom, but he's also got like the temperamental, like he's still Bane, right? He's still pumping drugs in his head. He's still got his homicidal urges, but he's like. But yes, I like Harley Quinn's Bane. I genuinely laugh every time he's on TV. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's my favorite. But if you're going to go serious Bane, like serious pathos villain Bane, Tom Hardy did a really good job, and I thought the character was smart, dangerous, in all the right ways. But the movie, unfortunately, the big movie like mystery whether Batman was going to live or die, that tension was completely gone. Yeah. So it was like, okay, I knew Bane was going to break him because I read the comics and I'm a fucking nerd, so that's out. Right? So I can't be surprised there. He's going to come back and beat him somehow. No surprise there. But will he live or die doing it was the only that was the only really interesting thing for me in that movie. When I started, it was like, is he going to walk away from this? Because that you could see an ending for it. Now,
Right.
I like Bruce Wayne's ending, all things considered, and I like the fact that they opened up a new pathway for that universe that they never will explore. But the movie story had no. After 20 minutes or so into the movie, there was no surprise at all.
Right.
It's like, you need surprise, but you also need shit going wrong. Like that's the other thing. That's also real, right? That's also like a very real thing. Like me, like I make this a point in even my fiction writing, right? Unless it's something like my Alice series, which is a very different kind of thing. But even that, there's still moments of levity and humor. Like like her interactions with the cat in her head are that's where that can be a little silly, and I have a lot of fun. But the chaos analysis is a very different kind of chaos than anything else out there. So it's right. So you play with that a little different. But in every other story, there has to be a little glimmer of those imperfections, because you don't need a perfect story. You just need a compelling one, and that and those imperfections, more often than not, are what make the story compelling.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's true, not just with stories, but like TikTok and social media, and people are so busy posing and prepping and getting their nails done to look good. But there's this whole like pressure to always be perfect and to never show the mess. And that's not real life, and it doesn't feel authentic, and it doesn't feel real. And
I'm just showing something. This is my TikTok. I've actually started playing with it right now. So I've made a point. So I have my rules with TikTok are my rules with like marketing in general, with me in general, all my social media. I'm me. I'm a fuck up. I embrace my crazy, and I have opinions. You may agree or disagree with them. I don't care. I'm me. I'm not going to change for you. You're going to, if you're here, it's because you like what I offer.
right.
If you're not here, if you leave me, I'm not going to miss you.
Right.
That's right. I'm not going to miss you, right? Because the way I look at it is this: I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I shouldn't be. I should be looking for my cup of tea.
Yeah, because if you're everybody's cup of tea, that makes you boring. I mean,
listen, the world does need its Coke, okay? It does need its Coca-Cola sometimes.
That's true. I still prefer not to drink it.
No, it's fair. No,
I like the fun, interesting flavors, and that's why I'm here.
So it's like tequila with something. Okay, let's try this. Let's see where it goes. And
no, actually, I'm not allowed to drink tequila. Tequila and Merlot, those both get me in trouble. So, but mixing up the other drinks, I'm there.
Okay. So, who's the adult in your relationship there? Is that something?
I am. I'm very good at self-managing. My husband, on the other hand, every once in a while, he's like, "Oh, look, there's this lovely bottle of Merlot. What will happen?"
So he's your tempter.
Yeah.
So he
Oh yeah. He's so when we first got together, my mom was not a fan because I was her baby girl and nobody would ever be good enough, especially this little, it's true, he looked like a 90s boy band guy when we got together. But she realized he was perfect for me when my brother wrecked my car, totaled my car, and I'm there freaking out. How am I going to get through this? Doing what I do. I'm a processes person. This is what we need to do. This is how we get back on track. I am really bad about taking time for myself, enjoying life, all of that good stuff. And in that moment, he was like, Heidi, don't worry about it. Your brother's alive. We're going to be okay. And hey, he didn't kill the deer, because that's why he flipped my car trying not to hit a deer that had jumped in the road. I was like, I'm sorry, I wish you'd hit the deer instead. But totaled the car. And this is in South Carolina, so the deer are tiny. If he'd hit the deer, it wouldn't have totaled the car.
Okay,
But
because okay, I lived in Canmore for like a few months.
yeah,
Yeah, do not.
there's different deer in different places. You hit a deer in Montana, it's total. You hit a deer in South Carolina, you might get some scratches on your
Yeah, no, it's fair. No, I'm just like
paint. Yeah,
in
different
Canmore.
deer.
I wake up and sometimes it wouldn't be just deer, it'd be caribou, moose. I'm looking at
Oh
these things.
yeah.
So I'm looking at these things like I don't care if I have a truck. I don't want to hit this thing.
Hmm.
Right? If I have a truck, I might feel it. Right? Because
Oh yeah.
they're that big. In a car, there's a chance you die with the moose if you hit it.
Right. There's
Right?
a chance the moose might walk away and you'll still die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
chance.
no.
You don't. You
Yeah.
like so, and it's a sight to see in a town like. By the way, my master plan is like next year to go back into the mountains. I gotta say that after being there for 6 months.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, after being there for 6 months. So my master plan next year is I'm going to be working on going to the States more for shows and stuff like that. I'm hoping
Hmm.
I got some interesting things coming up for me in the horizon that I think is going to make it very possible for me to do some my more crazier stuff again next year.
That's
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
I'll tell you some of that stuff off the air. I got some things coming up. I got to figure out this month. This month's kind of one of the, like this month. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do this month? But next month looks like
Right.
something promising. October really looks good. But even so, and then at that point, I spend the rest of the year investing in myself so that next year, when we get to springtime next year, like
Hmm.
my plan is to split my time between Alberta, probably in the mountains somewhere,
Hmm.
and do what my work in Calgary, whatever it be. But yeah, like I've kind of made a decision in my head. It's like, you know, I really like those mountains. It felt really nice to be in them. They're really pretty. Like
Hmm.
I might want to go back. And so if I'm going to stay in Canada, it's there.
Right.
Yeah, it's there. And then the rest of the time, I'm probably going to be traveling into the States by like one of those crazy like vans with like my logo on it. I might have I might have like one of those.
Are you going to
Now,
become a Connie?
possibly,
I
but
love
at the same,
it.
no, but see the ultimate troll move though, seriously, is I might actually put in my horn like the regular horn, but every once in a while switch it to ice cream music. See if I could like
That would be epic. Oh my gosh. I love
see.
it.
See, one person thought you're like JD thought that's cruel, man. It's like you would do that to people. You're like you get it, like you do the same thing. Like this would be it's hilarious,
That's
right?
fabulous. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yep.
I
But
have
instead
that.
of getting ice cream, they get books. I'm down. I
Yeah,
think it's a great idea.
yeah. It'd be fantastic. And I might even have some ice cream too. Is like, hey, you played along. Here you go. I'm not
There you
complete dick.
go.
I'm
Double
not.
win.
Well, like seriously. I think it's marketing genius. I could go across the country giving books and ice cream. Who wouldn't love me?
Yep, that's true. They come for
Yeah,
the ice cream, they get the books. They come for the books, they get the ice cream. Win, win, win. Yeah.
yeah. And like I said, I don't know anybody who can honestly say they hate ice cream. Like can honestly, legitimately make that argument. I don't think
Maybe lactose intolerant people.
they don't.
Maybe.
They don't even make that argument.
Even they don't?
No. Because here's the thing. I know some lactose intolerant people who will say screw it and still have some ice cream every once in a while. They don't do it all the time.
It's worth the
Say,
pain, huh?
yeah, well, it's one of those situations where you look at it and go, okay, it's about life. Life's really ultimate life's about this. There are no rules. No matter what anybody wants to say, there really isn't. It really comes down to this. What do you want to do and what are you willing to pay to get it?
Right.
That's it.
Pretty much. As
Yeah.
we've learned from some of the scandals that have broken lately.
Well. I mean, that's just part of the reason why. Like we lived in a more sane time or a world where people were more honest and more integrity at the very top. It wouldn't be quite that world. Still would be mostly that world, but there would be a lot more. It would be in a world like that. It would be no one would be more inclined to break the rules. But when you're seeing that your leaders, doesn't really matter which side of the fence you're on, none of them have integrity. Then why are you playing by their rules? It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense at that point. Like that's the thing. When you have no credibility on top, this is how people start to think, or at least this is how I started to think. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, right? So
definitely not. Definitely
right.
not.
So and again, I'm not condoning hurting anybody. That's not what I'm saying. But like what it
No,
comes right
yeah, of
down,
course.
what it comes right down to though is what you realize is there really are no rules in this life. So if there really isn't, then really it's about who do you want to be, what do you want to do, and what are you willing to pay to be those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I mean that's why you see some of the ruthlessness you do see in the world, but you also just see just people. More most part, people just want to be left alone to do their thing. That's really it,
Yeah.
right?
Although you wouldn't think that by looking at social media.
Oh no, well, social media is a really fun thing because there are two things to social media. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, this is why I'm like pretty much myself because I'm looking at this like would I say this to somebody in real life?
Right.
Yes, yes I would. For the most everything you see on social media, good, bad, or indifferent, folks, it's me. I'd say it
Yeah.
to your face. I'd say it like I don't care, right? The thing is, I don't have to think about like I don't have to think very hard that way.
You don't have to
Also,
pretend to be a
I
persona.
know, no,
Right.
and that's just it, right? I'm not going to, I'm not going to root for, I'm not going to be who I'm not. So I'm not really worried about getting punched in the mouth for it. It's like, you know what? If that's what it comes to, bring it. I'm like, let's just make it quick, right? I have time. That's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
Not everybody's there. A lot of people try
That's
to
true.
pretend, right? A lot of people will try to pretend like I'm this. No, fuck that. I don't have time for that shit. I mean, I'm gonna be the realest me I can be.
Right.
I'm gonna do all the things I want to do, and I'm gonna have fun doing them, and maybe make a zillion mistakes. I'm good with that. You know what? Some of my best mistakes have taught me the best lessons in life, right?
Exactly.
Right, and
Exactly.
I'd rather make a million mistakes than have a single regret. I already have two. I have like three major regrets in my life. That's three more than I have wanted. But I'm gonna try to keep
Mm-hmm.
it under five in my life. That's the goal.
That
So
is awesome.
that's my like that's it. It's not it's the things you don't do is what you regret not doing. So you got to do those things. Do all the things you
Mm-hmm.
think you can do. If I don't get there because I'll die, that's one thing. That's not me. No regret. It's me, right? That's just I
Right.
didn't get there. If I don't try, there's something wrong. There's something genuinely
Right.
wrong with that, and that's something I've learned a long time ago. So that hurts more. Mistakes? Oh man, I make mistakes all the goddamn time. Some of them are incredibly stupid, and I am good with it.
What's really good is when you can make a mistake and then go, you know what? That was better than what I'd originally planned.
Yes.
You got to be open to learning from it. And if you're not, then you just like, oh, I messed up, throw it away. But yeah,
No, it's just it,
there,
right? Like there is room for everything, and you gotta
exactly.
and you have to be again. There are no rules, and that's the other thing I realized, right? Now, if you want to be a good person, there are things you got to live by. I'm learning what those things are too, but ultimately,
But that's different for each person too, you know?
there are some things that are universal. Like I think, for
Mm,
example, no, like for example, you got to be true to who you are. You have to have a certain degree of integrity
that's
and
true.
value, and you have to have a certain degree of transparency in what you do. You can't be again. There's one of those pretending to be something you're not thing. You can't do that at all. Like that has to go out the window, right? You have to be true to yourself.
Except the examples of all of the different superheroes who mask who they are shows us that
Superheroes.
that's not true. So, I mean, they're authentic to who they really are, but you can wear a mask and still be true to yourself. You
To a point.
can, yeah,
To a
exactly. And
point.
but there is always that balancing act, and what are you giving up versus what are you gaining
Well,
from the approach that you're taking?
okay. So let's put it out. Let's go with okay. My favorite example, but think about secret identity though. Here's the thing about a mask, and this is the thing, which is true with all the characters with secret identity, all of them. It is still them. It's just a different aspect of them, right?
Right.
Because what inevitably happens with a mask, and this is why it's very important that you choose this. You think about this as carefully as you think about your. If you feel the need to how do we put this, tone this down, or I have to put on a
A
mask because
specific aspect of myself, not
yeah,
all of me.
yeah. But here's the thing about a mask: it's if it stays on long enough, it becomes permanent. It's not a mask anymore. That's the thing
Hmm.
about mask. So you got to be very. So when you look at say Clark Kent, Superman, that dude is the same guy. Now my favorite interpretation of Clark Kent is either Grant Morrison's take on Clark, or like the old show in the 50s take on Clark Kent.
Yeah.
So, because the 50s guy was in on the joke, and he had
Right.
fun with it, right? Yeah, and that I think is awesome. But I also think, see, Grant Morrison was my favorite because Clark would be this bump. This is All-Star Superman for those people wanting for reference here. He would be bumbling and tripping over shit and being a klutz on purpose. What would happen is the next panel, you see, like, he'd bump into somebody. Hey, what the hell's going on? That guy would go. And meanwhile, the chandelier that was just about to hit him just missed him.
Right.
Or something that Clark was clumsy because he could still save people without them ever knowing,
realizing it was him. Yeah.
And that I think is when Superman is not when he's a dork, because that's not who he is. Superman's best when he knows, like, Clark is a farm boy from Kansas. That's who he is. Now he can goof off, he can play along, but the farm boy from Kansas is a big part of who he is. Don't change that. Fuck that. Just you know.
Are you saying farm boys from Kansas can't be dorks? Because I know that's not true.
No, they can be, but Clark isn't always. But Clark isn't.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, I know. Hey, to anyone that's a dork out here, that's you, just embrace it completely. It's all.
That's good. Right.
But that's the thing. Like if you're looking at it from masks, like masks often give us permission to be something we're not, or something, or we've always wanted to be. That's why, like, if you look at, that's why you look at like superheroes, like Batman. That is Bruce Wayne. Superman, that is Superman. Green Lantern, that is Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart. Insert Green Lantern of your choice there.
Right.
Flash, that is Wally West or Barry Allen. Right? These people, like, that's who they really are. But, right, in their secret quote unquote, their secret identities are just, for the most part, the same guy. Just the volume's turned down a little bit. Right? Right? And maybe, and sometimes they poke fun at themselves, like right. Sometimes they poke a little fun at themselves. Like I like that's my favorite Bruce Wayne thing. Yeah, he plays the billionaire, like airheaded playboy, right? But there's a little bit of he's having a blast doing this. Like he's seeing how obnoxious he can be. My favorite scene in The Dark Knight is literally when right at the first meeting with Mr. Lau. And Bruce Wayne is sleeping in this. And I'm just like, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
Classic.
Hey!
Hello, Miss Stewart. How are you doing?
Yeah, welcome to the stream. Yeah. But like that's the thing. If we're talking about personas, and I'm talking about this a little bit too, because I'm in my Alice Greek mythology. There's a lot of Carl Jung in there as well, because I deal with shadows a lot in that story. Gods and shadows, they oddly go together very, very interestingly well. But the thing is, like, if you look at what, going back to like the whole thing about being authentic, even in your mask, if you choose to wear a mask of some kind, I'm not saying reveal absolutely everything to the public. That's not what I'm saying. But if you do choose to wear a mask, make sure it is relatively close to the person in the mask, because you're gonna grow into that mask. And the worst thing you can possibly do is become something you hate, or resent the life. That's when you get into some real trouble, right? And that's when things can go very bad, and that's when those mistakes might become regrets, because because and that happens with people all the time too. People do it. People do what they think they're supposed to do, and like I like I said, I lived in the States. And I lived in a Mormon community for a couple of years, so I got to see some very interesting examples.
Different dynamics.
Oh, wow! Right?
Yeah.
Right. And to the point that this can't be real. There's a part of me that's like, this can't be, and it really wasn't. Like that's the thing about it. Like it really wasn't.
Yeah.
It was and it wasn't. But again, it's the same thing. Like if you put on a mask long enough, you become a part of that mask. And one of two things will happen. You either will resent that mask and rebel, or you become that person you hate. I'm not sure what's a worse fate. So that's why a lot of people bolt and leave. That's why a lot of people bolt and leave when they realize that there's a biblical verse that new wine can't exist in an old skin, and by basically, and it's very accurate because if with people too, expectations of the world versus what you yourself need to be, if they clash, eventually you who you need to be is going to win. The question is how much damage you're going to do by putting on everybody's expectations before you get there.
Right. That is absolutely true.
Something, yeah. So that's it. That's basically, that's something I've learned and I've seen. That's why I'm me. I don't try to be anything else on social media because why pretend? I mean, if you're gonna love me for who I am, or you're not, and
right. If not, that's okay. There's somebody else for you. Go there.
That's right. That's right. And that's and that's the thing. Like I've been dabbling with ad copy for the last little bit, and one of the biggest things, the very first thing I learned about ad copy was, your very first few lines are actually literally about dividing people up. Either the people who really want your stuff versus the people who really doesn't.
Right.
That's it. That's a whole big part of this. So I mean, that's the cool thing about being yourself too, is you will divide people. Some people will love what they see, some people will hate what they see. Ironically, if they really hate you, they'll make you make more money from them. It's a weird thing, but it's true.
Because they have to comment on your stupid video, which gets you more views. Yeah.
Yes. It's a wonderful, wonderful truth about life, folks. Right? I mean, I've learned this. You don't. It's not really about trying to be loved. It's about trying to make impact people's psyche. Like I have, I'm trying. I'm doing some different stuff. I like to build my business in advertising. Like I said, I've been putting some videos up promoting the podcast. And one of the things I've been doing, like the one today was called "Kind of Like Cocaine," just because it's just like that literally came up in my Allegra Pescatore was my guest, and that literally came up, ironically, about Dr. Seuss and gibberish. So it's like it's an interesting little video, right? If someone's gonna look at the title, "Kind of Like Cocaine," not for me, or really, like the game.
What's this about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So I've already, again, it's a division. And then you go in and then you try to persuade people. That's advertising in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Allegra was a very fun interview. The audio is up now if you want to go listen to it. It is hilarious. We were very serious the whole time. I solemnly swear.
I don't think I've ever seen Allegra be super serious. That's part of why I love being on shows with her, because she's like you. She's got such great energy, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So I told her, like, I might have convinced Allegra to go into a heavy metal concert, like on the outskirts of a mosh pit. I might have convinced her.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, she wasn't sure about it. It's like, no. They would treat you good. They wouldn't, like, you couldn't go in the middle of the pit like that.
No, that's chaos. Only the professionals go there, and that's known.
I go in there. I'm nuts.
I bet you do.
Yes. Well, it's fun because it's like it's how to put it. It's constructive violence. That's what it is. It's constructive violence. If someone goes down, people help you up. Right?
We're not trying to hurt other people. We're just
I would go so far to say it's constructive aggression. That's what I would call it. You let it out. So much like when you I don't know, have you ever played hockey? Like I'm serious.
No, I always wanted to. I was a total Mighty Ducks girl growing up.
Oh my God.
But I was too poor. Even though I grew up in Montana, I skated all the time. I pretended to play hockey with my brother with a stick, but never got to actually play hockey.
Okay, so it was a common thing up like I lived in London, Ontario. So even if we didn't have skates, we just get some people who give you a stick and you just go out and play. Oh yeah, body checking, hip checking, big part of the game, right? We're not really trying to hurt each other. We're just trying to do. Although I think
knock them over.
Yeah, it's just part of the fun, right?
Yeah.
Body checking is legit. It's like, and I get nailed and go flying onto the ground. It's like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. Welcome to it's just part of the game. I remember one of the few times I actually played foot hockey, run into this giant. I was like this tiny ass 7th grader and this giant 8th grader. And he could not stop. It's like, I'm about to get mauled, and I did. And I did. made me strong.
That's right. That's
That
right.
made me strong, or something like that. But that's constructive. Letting those things out in a way or in an environment where it's okay to be those things is a good thing ultimately. And because again, we have those tendencies for reasons. So put them in an environment where they can be you. That's why I mean, I actually talked about a guest when I'm a little bit more back on my feet, maybe next year too. The other thing I might do is I might join an MMA gym. Might just actually give that a go.
Fun.
I'm going to get my ass kicked so much for the next 2 years if I join the gym. Though it's going to be like I'm just going to get beaten. But
that's how you learn, you know.
Oh yeah,
no,
I'm totally expecting a girl that's a master in jiu-jitsu will be taking me down, just beating the crap out of me for 2 years. I totally can see it. Right.
Now, what if it's a guy? Then what?
It's a guy. It's fine too. Right. No. It's because again, it's aggression for the right reasons.
Right.
They're going to teach me self-defense, and they're going to teach me techniques. Like, it's funny. I was talking to a buddy. Like, I'm a big magic. I used to play really big into magic. Me and my one buddy were really, really big, and I actually competed for a little bit, short little time. And some of the things I did were really cool. We had a roommate who sucked. We smashed him all the time. We just smashed him. We'd help him too.
Keep doing it.
Well,
that's how he learned to get good at it.
He went back to visit his friends in Newfoundland, and he smashed all of them. Like, he just smashed them. He actually, he was like, they actually were calling it, he was too rough on them. Right. And that was because he was like, we're just playing casual. Because he had played us for so long. He had become a better player. Like, he had no choice, right? He had become a better player. So he goes to his casual environment. He's just destroying people, and then comes back here, smack him down again. But it's like, that was, oh man, no. But that's just the way it goes. Like, when you're around people that are better than you at something, if you want to get better at them, you become better. It's just that's how you do it.
As long as they don't treat you with kid gloves. Yeah.
Oh, I don't, even if they treat me, look, I expect, let's say I do join them the first 3 months, I probably am going to get some kid glove and this too, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? So they're going to be like, okay, we're going to teach you how to take a beating for a little while. We're not going to go hard, but we're going to teach you. Then if I survive those 3 months, it's like, okay, now we're going to get to the real training. Right? And that's when I'll get smashed. I remember I had a buddy of mine who was in the military. Right, he was in the military. He was pretty, like, he had done some tours of duty, so he goes to take martial arts to keep in shape. He smashes his sparring partner. So you just
gotta play.
right. So the instructor goes at him, and the instructor's better than him, but it's still like the guy's good. It's like, so afterwards it's like, so this is what ended up happening. I ended up becoming the instructor's sparring partner. And it's like, oh. Right? That's what happened.
That's how you get better. Yeah.
Yes, it is. No, he got way better. But I mean, it's not always the hold on a second here. Oh my gosh. No, she Allegra liked the cocaine video. So
of course she did.
Yeah, of course she did. It's just like, yeah, it's like, wait, Allegra said something. That's cool. I was like, I gotta see what that says. Okay, no, this was so much fun. No, it was. No, it was. That's it. Like, you get around people who are like I said, if I decide to do, if I'm serious about this and everything works out a certain way, that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'll be in a gym. I'll be getting, and I expect this. Like, I expect to get my ass kicked for a good 2 years, right? Before I like, you know, and who knows? Maybe I'll be one of those crazy old middle-aged dudes like, put me in a cage, I'll fight somebody. Right?
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Most people can. Me too, actually. Right? Most people can. It's like, why would you do it? I just want to see what it's like. I don't like it. I'm too old to go like have any like UFC or Strike Force aspirations. I'm sure and I wouldn't want to. Those guys are freaking animals. Like, so
terrifying. Yeah.
Well, it's like if I get there, it's like cool. I like that. Like just have just sort of pipe dream. That it would be an amazing thing to say I got there. But let's be
Right.
honest. If I did somehow get there, I would be the tomato can. I would totally be the tomato can, and I know it. Right, right. I just like I wouldn't be doing it for that. I'd be doing that just to test myself, kind of see how far I could go,
And
and it's that,
yeah,
that's it.
you learn from those experiences.
Exactly.
You know,
Oh,
I had a friend who, when I was telling them that I wasn't going to keep pushing being an author as a full-time thing, I was looking at just treating it as a hobby again. He was like, "Oh, why are you giving up?" I was like, "I'm not giving up. I'm still doing it. I'm still writing. I'm still releasing courses and stuff. I I've learned so much from what I've done and I wouldn't take it back, but there's nothing wrong with it being a hobby. And if people enjoy my books, that's great too. I want a career. I always had planned to have a career and then writing as a hobby. But then because of what happened with my son being diagnosed with autism, the career part wasn't really an option. So I was like, I'll just put everything into the career of writing because that was something I could do around his millions of appointments and his counseling and his therapy and his special needs and his needing me to hold his hand to do his homework and all of that.
oh,
And
absolutely.
then once he was out of the house, it was like, I love writing, but I hate doing this as a career. I want to pay somebody else to do my advertising, even though I'm a marketing person. And then just be able to enjoy the writing piece and then market stuff that isn't my books and have a
Yeah.
career working in marketing separate from my books.
No,
And so, yeah.
I could totally see that. Like, okay, I'm doing something really, really fun for advertising next year. I can't say exactly, but along the journey, I'm also going to probably my goal is to Kickstarter 3 books next year.
Oh, fun.
I'm probably going to go back to crazy somewhere along the way, right? So, but I think the difference between us is I'm ready to make this like my full career, like that, like me being creative as my full career, and you were just I don't want to say forced is the right word, but you kind of were put in a position.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my original plan, and I did the best that I could with it, and I did pretty well. I was selling $3,000 a month with books for several years, but I was working 90 hours a week and taking care of a special needs kid, and I got to the point where I hated it. I wasn't enjoying it. I literally couldn't write for 2 years because every time I tried to pick it up, there was like this, I don't want to say PTSD, but it was, I don't want to do this.
Well, no, you're just retired of that kind of work.
I was
like
so burnt out. Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the simplistic version of the writing career is you create stuff, which is I'm going to say 30% of the job, and then
maybe I would go lower. I would say maybe 20%. Maybe 15%.
We'll say 15 to 30, depending on how prolific how many book releases you do in a year. Well, is that reasonable?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Now the other 70% is advertising it.
Oh no, the other 70% is project management and hiring editors and hiring graphic designers and then there's the marketing and then there's the branding and then there's the conventions and the selling and then there's the distribution and I love doing all of that stuff, but doing all that stuff with my work was except that I was a mom, so I couldn't do that. But I totally understand, this culture of creators where there's this idea that we're all crazy or we're all drug addicts or alcoholics or, we have all these vices. Sorry, just a second. I have to let the dog out.
No worries.
Go run away, pup. It's funny. I tried to kick him out before we started because I knew he would do this. And he was not having that. He's like, no, I want to be with mom while mom's in her office.
If it makes you feel better, listen. Madeline Dale?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Her 3-year-old son held the show hostage for 45 minutes.
Oh my God, that's so cute. I love that you would let that happen because there are other professional organizations that would make somebody feel ashamed of that.
Well, no,
It's adorable, and that's that's adorable.
well, it's
That
also
that matters.
it's a part of who she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as much as like he's at the age at this point where mom is still the center of his universe. Hey, mom, come look at me, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was funny. It was like I mean, I would be lying to you if I said after around the 30-minute mark, it's like I really like. Can your dad please just get home a little bit right now? Not gonna lie, but at the same time, it's like what like the way I see every guest that comes on the show. This is how I see it. You're doing me a favor. I'm doing. I mean, there's a mutual back scratching a little bit on this too. I'm not. I wouldn't say that. But the reality of the situation is, you were taking time out of your day to come on my show, right? So I should then. I mean, as long as I don't see you doing something really profane on your side of the
right.
I think the worst. I think the worst thing I had happen to me on one of these episodes is I had a guest that actually openly talked about committing a crime on my openly incriminating himself, which is totally.
Well, was it long enough ago that the statute of limitations had given out? Because in that case, no big deal.
So I won't go back into the episode. I won't name the episode exactly, but one interesting thing about Canada is like we still have vaccine mandates here. A lot of our countries have been washed away, and I've talked about that ad nauseum. I'm not really a big fan of them, but they're still here. The reality of the situation is, so the travel mandates just about expired, like they were ending. So he came on and talked about how he was able to travel in spite of his own choices, and that's cool, and that's fine. I mean, that was fine. Then he goes, "I'm going to do this next year with 12 other," and I'm like, "Why are you saying that on my show?"
Announce further indiscretions. Yeah.
Well,
the thing that's frustrating about the whole vaccine thing, like I legitimately can't get vaccinated because I've had negative reactions to vaccines in the past, and I have to ask myself with every vaccination that I get, is the likeliness of me dying from this vaccine greater or more likely, greater or less than the chance of me dying from the thing that is supposed to be protecting me from? I don't have the chickenpox vaccine. I don't have the flu shot. I never get the flu shot. And originally, when they first were coming out with the COVID vaccine, when it was looking at being just 1 shot, 2 shot done, I was very seriously considering it. But then as the information and the data came out, I was like, I'll just have to be a hermit because it's not worth the risk of my life. To get the vaccine.
And considering the data that's been coming out more and more, you made the right call. I
definitely, my doctor was like, I'm glad that you didn't get vaccinated. And even still, he's like, if you, right now I'm working from home. I have a great job that it allows me to work from home. If I were to get a job that I had to go into an office, he's like, I wouldn't recommend you getting vaccinated because you are a prime candidate for having one of those complications.
Yeah, and considering a whole bunch of doctors have just released all the complications, everything from like type 1 diabetes to various heart defects, and it's all over the world now. So it's like, so my dad's a naturopath, so my decision was based on the fact that I wanted to wait 2 years because 2 years is when you
get the data.
Yeah, it's when you really get the data. You don't get the data in 3 months. You get the data in 2 years. So I was going to wait 2 years, regardless of what would happen. I feel really smart that I waited. Looking at the data and seeing what I've been seeing, it's like I think I did the right thing. Now for those people listening, there are still some arguments for the vaccine, but they're not the arguments advertised. They're not the arguments advertised. So. right. So I'm not saying do or don't. What I am going to say, and like I said, personally, I say wait until all the data comes out. But if you're going to do it, look at the data that's out there now, both sides of it. Make a decision that's best for you, whatever that is.
Right.
But that episode, I told him afterwards, like, please don't do that again on my show. Because here's the other thing too, I'm really hesitant to like chop up an episode to bits. The
Right.
consequences are now, if something happens, I can't not testify against him now because he
That's true.
incriminated himself on my
Yeah.
show. What am I supposed to say? Right?
Not what Alex Jones has been saying. That's for sure.
I don't know what
Have you
Alex.
been following that case?
No. So Alex Jones, I've known Alex Jones stuff for like 20 years,
Right.
right?
I think
He's
we
not.
all have, even if we
Yeah.
try to avoid it. You
Well, no.
can't avoid.
Oh, okay. So once upon a time, I really did go down a conspiracy rabbit hole, and there are definitely some things that are interesting out there if you want to
Oh
look.
yeah, but that's not what he peddles in.
No, no. But when you go down that path, you sooner or later run into him. That's just you're going to run into him,
Can't avoid it. Yeah,
and he's a character. Like I
that's
legitimately
one word
is
for
a
it.
character, and I I don't know if he's helped or harmed, and like anyone seeking
Oh,
truth. Yeah.
I think he harms because he's not. He's not a see, and this is where we talk about those mask ideas. He's not a conspiracy theorist. He doesn't believe most of what he puts on his show. He does it just to sell products. Oh, I lost you. I can't hear you. Nope.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Oh, I hear you, but you're very quiet.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I'm putting the microphone up so I don't hit it again.
Yeah.
No, I think no, he's a peddler. Like definitely, I definitely got
He
that
is.
impression. I got
And
that
that
impression.
hurts so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not above. Like again, at this point in the ball game, on my own business, I understand the nature of selling, but right a
Yeah.
little bit more. So, in one hand, I don't blame him. On another hand, well, it's also like this. I remember. So the health, like the nutritional side of the health industry, isn't as regulated as the doctor. Now, there's pros to that, and there are cons to that. Here's the con, right? The con is you'll go to like a store looking for a remedy for something. Now, sometimes, and it's a crapshoot what you get. Sometimes you'll get somebody that's very knowledgeable, will give you a whole bunch of recommendations based on what they know, right? Like for example, it's like someone comes in for like depression, for example, right? They might attack it like something like this. I might say, okay, what you should do, like ask, like, is it if it's a man, it might go like, okay, maybe you want citric acid and zinc, put it together. Sometimes depression comes from the stomach, not the head, and zinc is essential for guys in particular for their moods. So you take those two things, you put it together, maybe you fix the issue. With women, maybe you do some kind of iodine thing in combination with maybe again a citric acid, or maybe you do something else, right? But you haven't there's a knowledge base there that they're tapping into. And sometimes you'll get, well, hey, I'm Dr. What's his name, because that's in my label, and I got this product here that will do wonders for you. And that's the dark side of the nutrition industry is you have some really knowledgeable people that want to help, and they really do exist, and then you have crap. All right.
And then even within knowledgeable people who really want to help, they're peddling products that often are very new. Like I have fatty liver disease, and part of the reason I have that is because my brother was working at GNC, and he recommended that I go on hydroxycut because I've always struggled with losing weight. This was before, and fortunately, he stayed on top of it, and he's like, Heidi, you need to go off that now. As soon as the reports started coming out about the harm that it was doing to people, he's like, you need to go off it now. But the damage was already done, and then obviously it didn't help me lose weight either. But that's another story.
That's another story. But I mean, even with so this is the flip side. The medical industry has this problem too. Right. Because what happens there is doctors don't really have a say in what they have a say in what they're prescribing you, obviously, but what they can prescribe from you comes from a list from insurance companies, not necessarily from medical companies, right? And the other thing that goes on is the nature of the industry there is a lot more. So since 2006, more first-time drugs have become readily, like drugs that just hit the market for the first time ever, have become more of a common occurrence. So what happens now is more often than not, you're cutting out like we're talking about the 2 years of data here, you're cutting that down and putting it right out into the public eye that much more. I mean, opiates is the worst example we can go by, but there's also antidepressants that have issues. Yeah, there's tons of those. So I think like that's a problem on both ends of the spectrum, to be honest with you. I think the issue, the real problem is, in my opinion, is the insurance companies. But that's my opinion. Right? But on that,
like, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, a perfect example with the insurance industries. So I have been morbidly obese ever since my son was born. So 18 years now. But because I didn't have high blood pressure, I didn't have diabetes, I didn't have, these things that normally come with being morbidly obese. None of my insurance companies would pay for the surgery that I'm about to have at the end of the month, which is a bariatric surgery, because I didn't have any pre-existing conditions. It wasn't until the damage was already done to my back, and I now have degenerative disc disease and spinal stenosis that is progressively getting worse. Finally, an insurance company is like, oh, okay, we'll pay for that. It's no longer cosmetic. It was never cosmetic to begin with. It was always because I live a very healthy life, but I can't lose weight. There's something wrong with, but they didn't care about that. All they cared about was they're not spending that much money on me yet. So they're not going to pay a bunch of money for me to be healthy. And I'm just
that's just it. Like, because a healthy individual doesn't need the medical industry. That's the other aspect. And that's true, but I mean, if there's two places I'm cynical, it's politics and the medical industry, because I've seen it from the inside. I've seen the damage done. So I have a very different take than someone that's never seen that kind of damage. So so for me, I look at it kind of like everything's done the way it is for a reason. And
that reason isn't the altruistic reason you think it is.
No, for more often.
Or I guess I should say, I think it should be. My husband's always like, you believe the best in everybody. And I was like, I try to, but I also don't let myself get taken advantage of either.
Well, I guess, and this is something I learned over time too. And the vast majority of nurses, doctors, EMTs, all those people, they really do want to help.
Of course.
It's not the people in the system there. It's the people that regulate the system.
Absolutely. And that's the case with everything. I mean, same thing with politics. People that are boots on the ground, they're really trying to do what they think is what's best for people, even up to the presidency. Yeah. But the people who are pulling the purse strings in the background, it's a whole other story. Same thing with religion. Same thing with jobs. Same thing with,
there's definitely.
Most people do want to be good and do good and believe in what they're doing.
Well,
But then there's a little group of people.
What
we're doing is good about many. And that's what drives, that's the evil right there.
Politicians are interesting. I've interviewed a couple of them. Here's the thing I've learned about politicians. This is the thing I've learned about them. By and large, again, same thing. They're decent people. However, the big thing about a politician is much like a sales pitch. You have to buy into what you're believing in. Right. So that means that a politician's in a very interesting, especially in a party system, he's in an interesting quagmire, because they may personally think their party's like towing line is bullshit. However, to get what they want, they're going to have to toe that line. So they have to find a way to, if they're trying to be as authentic about it as possible, they have to find a way to believe in it and buy in. They have to. So what I've learned about, like, and again, I don't necessarily think this is an evil thing. We all have to do this to some degree. Like, we're in a job we don't like, or we're doing a job we don't agree with. We have to find some way to come to terms with it, whatever that is. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing entirely. But what I have learned when I deal with a politician, right, is there's a little bit more of that baggage than the average Joe, because they have, because of what they have to do. It's part of their job, and that's something that, like, it's not like a magic conspiracy. It's part of the gig. If you're in this to serve, you're gonna have to shake hands with the devil a little bit, and somewhere along the way, you're gonna buy in. You have to. It's the only way you're gonna get whatever you're trying to get out there. right? And I think I think to the degree, I think to get to the very top of it, I don't even want to know the price you pay for that. I think that's right. Never going to ask that question because that's not one I think people want to honestly answer. But again, they're human. For the most, like, again, there's always that 5% or 5% asshole ratio.
Right.
But 95 to 99% of people aren't like evil by their very nature. They're doing what they think is the best they can in the hand they're dealt. Not do I always think they're making the right call? No. But it's easy for me. I have a microphone. I have a big mouth. It's easy for me to make a comment about that, right? I don't know the full. That's the other thing too. I've learned doing this is I don't know everybody's circumstances. So understanding. So I might still disagree with you, but I may not. I try not to take it personally. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a personal disagreement. It's more like you see the world this way because of whatever walk of life you walked, right? And that's a very different thing than me going, we can still disagree, but when I have from that point of view, I just don't care. Like, I don't, right? It's like, okay, cool. We disagree. Want a beer? Well, in your case, maybe not a beer, but I
am allowed to drink beer. I prefer it dark. Thank you.
You got to have, like, here's the thing. Unless you got like craft beers down there, craft beer is better. You should have one of our beers.
I live in Utah. I don't get to enjoy craft beers very much.
No,
and when I do, I don't really get to enjoy it because it's like 3% alcohol.
See, I can't even. See, this is what happens to me when I go to places like that. I can't even. I just order water. You wanna know why?
Oh yeah.
Because
not worth paying for the drink.
Well, it's not even that. I won't feel a damn thing. I'm coming down from the mountains, like to go to right. So I already have a higher than normal tolerance anyway to start with, right? But I want to feel at least a little bit, like I want to get the edge off, right? Yeah. That's all I want. I don't necessarily want. I'm not in there to drink. But if I have to go down like somewhere where it's only like 3% alcohol, I can have a flat of that shit, and I'm not gonna feel it.
It totally is. Yeah.
I'm not gonna feel it. I'm gonna get bloated. One time I did that. I got bloated. I didn't get drunk. I didn't get buzzed. I got bloated.
Yeah.
Right. I got bloated. I was disappointed. I wasn't even like because it's like I wanted to feel I wanted the edge off. That's all I wanted. Didn't do a thing to me. It was no. It's like I can't.
We've accepted it. Yeah, drinking's not really like when we travel. Like when we go to Vegas, we'll stock up.
Yeah.
And bring it back with us. And but other than that, outside of our own stash, we don't go to bars here because there's no point.
No,
it's just a joke. And the drinks are just as expensive.
Well, yeah, even though it's alcohol. It's just like what's going to happen? No, it's like if I go in, it's like what are you? Like you go to a bar, like a bar in the States, they'll pour their normal. I'm Canadian. Oh, they'll take that down, like get something harder and stronger. There you go, right? Because they know it's like nope, he's Canadian. They can drink. Like that's the one thing about our country, we can fucking drink, right? So, but yeah, so I can't. Like if I go to like somewhere like that, and I've been, it's like I can't.
It's crazy, and the reasoning behind it is just so stupid.
Oh well, I mean, yeah. I know because I
so let those who don't want to drink not drink. That's totally fine. Those who want to drink, let them drink. It's not that big of a deal.
But see what that. But also creates a very interesting. See, this is the other thing. This is the thing I noticed when I lived in a Mormon community. So the debauchery was actually more extreme when it happened. Oh, because it doesn't happen as often, but
and it's always behind the scenes.
Oh no! It's entirely. So I decided after living in there, like Jack Mormons are my favorite. They're my favorite. They're awesome because and you get the lingo, so you understand that.
Oh yeah,
right.
Exactly
because they believe what they believe, but they really don't care, and I love them for that because we can have that talk. We don't have to have that talk. In fact, they'll have a fucking beer with you. They don't care, right? They're just like, you know what? They're human. Molly Mormons drive me up the wall.
I grew up Molly Mormon.
Yeah.
But see, I was the cool. Well, I can't say cool, but I was the kind of like when I was doing theater, which you can imagine a straight-laced Mormon girl doing theater. I got cast as Rizzo in Greece. I auditioned for not Rizzo, so it was kind of funny. But you know, the cast would all go out drinking. I went and hung out with them. I didn't drink. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't judgy. I wasn't like the obnoxious.
I think
the
you were secretly
judgy Mormons. Oh no, I totally wasn't. I thought it was fascinating. I loved hanging out with my friends, and they didn't pressure me to drink.
Oh yeah,
it was great. You know, they were like, "You're cool, we're cool. Everybody can do our own thing," and we all had a good time.
Yeah,
and there was, you know, no judgment. If more people could be like that in the world would be so much happier.
No, it's the one thing no, like I said, I think secretly you are like you learned to be you may have started a Molly Mormon, but that taught you to loosen. I can see where that loosens you up a little bit.
No, I was always, because half my family wasn't LDS. So,
okay. Oh,
you know,
so, yeah.
it wasn't like, you know, and the side of my family that was LDS, very straight laced. There's no Jack Mormons in my family. You're either Mormon or you're not. But yeah, and so I grew up on both sides of it. And I think that's part of the problem, is that especially when you have generation after generation after generation, this is just how it is. Everybody should be this way. And if you're not this way, there's something wrong with you.
Oh,
no, you're just different. You know,
I like I said, that biblical verse, new wine, old skin. Right? It's a very true verse. I lived in the town I lived in that was Mormon community was Snowflake, Arizona. So the tinier communities like that.
Oh yeah.
You actually know. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know. So you see that. And then, now here's the thing. I'm not going to name the author that I ended up working for up there, because we did not end on good terms. But if you do guys want to look, well,
you're not sad, but
well, actually, no. If I'm going to be very honest, yeah, I am a little bit, because he was a hero of mine. And
that's heartbreaking.
There's just two things. One, I'm not innocent on this either. Like if we're gonna be perfectly honest here, I screwed up too. Like I'm just saying that I made mistakes that looking back now, I was young, but I made mistakes, and I'm totally, and I own all of them. But the other thing too is, so it's funny. He oddly justified my feelings a few years ago when I went to fix my teeth. I did a GoFundMe. Now again, I'm not going to say I was completely innocent here. I did a podcast where I talked about how I lost my teeth. And the first version of that was a lot rawer than it should be. And honestly, in all fairness, I probably put him in the story a little bit more than he had to be. Now, that's right. I can't blame him for everything that happened to me, but he definitely played a role in that.
Right.
But here's the thing. He goes on my Facebook. And then just goes all out on the offensive because he was afraid of his reputation being attacked. Right. I thought it was hilarious for a couple of reasons. Number one, I never named him. He actually edited himself, which I thought was hysterically awesome. But it also justified, like, it was almost like a vindication of everything I felt too, because it was like, yeah, I shouldn't have gone the way I did. Like you said, I shouldn't have gone the way I did. But the feelings I had for a very long time after my experience with him, they were somewhat justified. And I don't feel bad I don't have the same feelings anymore. And we're definitely not going to exchange Christmas cards anytime soon. Right. But at the same time, you know, I do feel bad because, again, he was a hero, and it's sad that, you know, unfortunately, the way I see him is unfortunately accurate. Now, I would love to fix that, if for nothing else, because he was a hero of mine. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I'm not going to lose sleep if it ever happens. Right. But, you know, it's one of those, it's one of those things in life. Like, would I love to at least get to the point where we could speak to each other on friendly terms again? Yes, I would love that. Would I lose if am I gonna lose sleep if that never happens? No, I'm not gonna lose sleep if it ever happens, because he oddly justified everything when he came on my board to defend himself during my GoFundMe campaign, which I think is a very, that's my opinion. But going back to what I'm saying, going back to what I was saying there, this, like when I found out it was a Mormon community, like literally on the trip up when I was going to start working for him. I didn't know. I was going to walk right. I was completely blind to it going in.
Yeah, it's different.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's very watered down. Doesn't even do it justice. Like that's just right. It doesn't even do it justice. But the other thing, one of the things I learned too is I got to see the other end of it, where people were hiding things or hiding. I had a college buddy who I was going to school up there too, and he was gay, and that was a very, very like tough spot to be in. He was in that community, kind of having to hide it, and he was actually contemplating marrying a friend so he could hide it. It's like that would have been horrible too, but that's where he was at, right?
The logic and
that's where he was at. Like I said, and like he didn't do it, thank God. He's and honestly, really good dude. But I mean, just was one of those things where you saw, like I saw the drugs. I think the other thing that really, like you said, like the thing that shocked me about that is, on one hand, you see all these Mormon temples and stuff like that on the one hand. You see these crystal meth labs like a block from
Oh, the other and one of the things I found is that the more Mormons there are and actually this is true of every religion, but
no, it's every religion. Yeah,
if a religion is dominant in a particular area, there's more two-facedness around it, and there's less acceptance of people who aren't living the way you think they should live and all that stuff. I not only coming from a family that was not all Mormon, but also I grew up in Montana, not large Mormon communities there. There's a lot of different religions in the area and a lot of people who don't practice any religion. And then I moved to Kentucky, same story. And then I moved to South Carolina, same story. Never was I in a community where Mormonism was the dominant religion until we moved to Salt Lake. And we didn't actually move to Salt Lake because of religion. My husband got a job out here. So, but one of the first things that he was asked in his interview, because they were interviewing him for an out-of-state job, and they actually run into problems with bringing people to Utah, and then they quit because they couldn't handle the culture. And he's like, well, my wife's family's Mormon. I'm pretty familiar. Our kids do scouts in the church, and I'm pretty familiar with Mormons. I like them. They're cool. Not my cup of tea, but I hang out with them. It's fine. And so they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, we'll hire you. And he's like, I'm pretty sure them asking that is illegal.
It is, but it's
100% illegal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's 100% illegal. But that's what happens when you're the dominant group. You don't think that the rules apply to you.
It's okay. And also, like, I'm just speaking from the outside coming in. I understand why they'd ask that question too, because
and after being here, I mean, I grew up Mormon. This is not the religion I grew up with.
Oh no! So it's
the way that people act here is not what I was taught.
No, well, that's just it. Like, what happens is and this is true. Like, you're right, any religion can do this. It doesn't matter if it's Mormon or Christian or Muslim, Buddhist, heck, even atheist. Doesn't matter, right? Right? You could all
sports people.
Yeah.
It happens to everything.
No. If there's a dominant way of groupthink, there's one particular dominant. That's why variety is such a good thing, because variety encourages tolerance. That's just the way it is, right? But the thing about that is, right, doesn't matter. But in that situation is when you have a dominant group think, then this is what happens. You create an expectation of what everybody's supposed to be, and everybody. And here's the deal. So on a subconscious level, everybody knows it's bullshit. Everybody.
Right.
But
they want to fit in, so they're going to at least pretend to look like they agree with it.
Or at the very least, they're playing a role right?
Yeah.
And this goes back to what I said full circle about masks. See, here, the funny thing about a mask is you wear it long enough, it becomes permanent. So you got to be very, very careful what you let yourself mask yourself be, because what ends up happening is you do become that to some extent, at least. So
Yeah.
you got to be very, very careful with what that is. So that's that. Like, so when you're dealing with these people, like, I actually interviewed people who walked away from the church. Like, I had a fellow podcaster, and we talked about like him coming to terms. One of the things I did tell him, and this is the other thing too, is there's two groups of people in that mold that when they wear that mask long enough. There's also there are people when people walk away, for like he walked away from the church,
Right.
and there are some people that forever shunned him. But I said, but there's also another group of people who are jealous of you because you did something they did not, that they want to do themselves. And for whatever reason, they're not doing it. So when I said it like that to him, it put some things in perspective for him. It's like, yeah, like during, like some of those people will, like you're always afraid about losing certain people, but you're going to lose people in life anyway. The closer you get to whatever you're supposed to be, whatever you grow into and evolve, you're going to divide even more and more from the people around you to some degree, because you're going to be more distinct as time goes on. So what you ideally want to find, like, this is what, like, I'm 40, so I'm back in Calgary for the third time right now. But I have not seen very many of my friends from the last visit in my Calgary, but it's for a couple of reasons. But the biggest one is I'm also a different person than I was when I left. And ironically enough, I am in no hurry to get back. Like, some of my friends I'd love to see, and I've reached out to some of them, and it'd be great. And I hope I get that opportunity. But even if I don't, I'm not annoyed at it exactly. It's just more like, okay, this is the way it's going to be. This is the way it's going to be.
It's just growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. Some people I have no desire to see at all, like none, right? And the reason being is, like again, last year, I saw some things last year. It's like, I don't think I want to associate with you the same way anymore. Maybe we can talk and work it out, but I don't think I want to anymore. The other part of it is, yeah, I'm just not the same guy, right? When I left, and in the pandemic and everything like that, I'm a lot more driven in my goals, right? I don't see myself as working for somebody. I see myself as a businessman now. I think differently. And so, but I've had that opportunity to grow and change. It's one of the advantages of traveling around as much as I do. I go through different evolutionary processes. Change is my constant. So I become a different person. And now that I'm in my, I've broken the 40 plane. I don't give a shit about being different really anymore. I didn't give a shit much to begin with, but now I'm like, I'm not really
even less shits to give.
Yeah, far less.
Yeah.
And I don't got time. I just don't got time. Like, honestly, what it comes down to is either I'm going to love you for who you are, you're going to love me for who I am, or I'm not. And and I'm at that point in my life where I don't have hard feelings towards anybody, right? But
there's too much energy to hold hard
Some
feelings.
people can hold a grudge.
For me.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Some people can.
but that's, see, I can't. I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, whatever, it's over. Unless you're like still actively harassing and attacking me, and then you're just feeding your own grudge. But yeah, I just don't have the energy for it. I would much rather put my energy towards building things and growing things rather than festering and being annoyed. And
well, I also had an epiphany, because again, I'm going through my own little growing pains right now, right? I realized that, there were some things about here that I maybe have been holding on to that I need to let go. And I had this really big epiphany. It's like, most of us think about the people that hurt us far more than the people that help us. And I realized, like, that's not maybe how it should be. Maybe instead I should but it's so easy to do. We remember our hurts because of the impact, right?
And it's an evolutionary thing. You know, it's and people who hold grudges and people who remember the bad more than the good, it's not because you're broken or because you're doing something wrong. you're following your evolutionary instincts. That's how we survived for millennia.
Yep. Absolutely.
We have progressed further than our evolution has yet. And I'm not saying that I don't get mad.
Oh,
I'm not
God,
saying
no.
that I don't, it takes a lot of work to let go of those things, but I feel so much better for it. And I think some people, they don't give themselves the opportunity to experience that.
Well, it also depends on, it's also generational too. Like, my grandmother can't let go of anything. Right. She just can't. Right. And she's like, when we talk, she'll be like, you're a better person than I am on this part, in this regard. But I also have the ability to work with people I don't like. I can do that because, see, I'm a bit more of a, how do I put this? I'm a little bit pragmatic that way. I don't need to like you to get the job done, but I'm going to try to get the job done the best I can now, so I don't have to be around you very much. That's just that's my perspective, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, because I don't like you for a reason. But if I have to be around you, I'm going to do my best to get this done and done well, because I have a motivation, and that's you. I don't want to deal. Yeah. Right. I don't want to be around you. I don't like you. So I don't want to be around. But so I'm going to be an adult about this. Right. And that's how I look at it. I'm going to be an adult about this. Now everybody shares my attitude about it, but what ends up, but again, I'd rather that than looking like a baby crying, I don't want to work with this guy.
Yeah.
I've seen it my whole life. It's just like, it's
crazy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you want, like, but I have that in me. Now, again, my grandmother, doesn't have that same capacity, and it's not, I don't think she did, like, do that. I don't want to work with that kind of deal. Right. But that part's like, how do you do it? It's like, it's easy. I don't, the job is what matters, not the people I'm working with. I don't mind working with some people, but I'm not going to, like, I am professional enough that I will work with anybody. Right. But I'm also but my motivation is purely my own self-interest. Right. It's like, I don't want to deal with you more than I have to. So let's just get this over with, and let's do the best job we can. So I can go my way, you can go your way, and I don't ever have to deal with you. I minimize my time dealing with you. Or you can fight me every step of the way, and then we deal with each other longer. It's your choice.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And when you put to people like that, they actually cooperate with you a lot more. Right. Because it's like, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But it's again, people don't always think in those terms. Right. I've learned again, growing up how I grew up, like with my families and their own, like, in my own politics in there, sometimes you learn, it's like, you don't have to like each other to get a job done. And you also don't have to, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're going to make peace with each other either. That's fine too. I'd like that in a perfect world, but we don't, that's not real. Right. So let's just then do what we need to do and then get on with our lives. That's it.
Right. That makes life a lot easier. That's true. Yeah, I don't cater into the whole backstabbing and trying to get people fired. And who has that kind of energy? I have too much to deal with in my own life. I don't need to be worrying about your nonsense too.
Well, when I was working a day job, I was actually, when I went out to Vancouver to work there, the day job there was not the same as the day job in Calgary. Calgary wasn't perfect, but it definitely was a good crew. All in all, was a good crew trying to get a job done. Vancouver's crew was in some ways antiquated, and in some ways in how they did things. We'll just say antiquated. My favorite story about that was I got to hear something I heard in Ontario in the 90s from someone in Vancouver in 2020, right before the pandemic happened, which was because I was complaining about how things were done in this particular place. And I was quitting. I was already, I knew, like, in my head, I was going out the door on this date. Now, it happened a little sooner because of the pandemic, but even so, I'm getting.
You already knew you were on your way out.
I didn't care anymore. So I had this guy that had been there for 30 years. And I've been here for 30 years. It's always been this way. And then another guy that he's worked at another depot goes, no, he's right. Actually, it doesn't have to be this way. And you can see this 30-year-old just trying to compute this in his head. It's like, yeah. So listen. And then I told him, so listen, I'll talk about my thing. You worry about your next few years here, and good luck. He didn't like that very much because I just basically told him, it's like, you don't know shit. Like, you've been here, but you don't know anything. But again, it was that idea of going to work and being loyal to a place or making this your career or your life. It still exists in a lot of places, right? Even though I think that by and large, that is more of a thing of the past. I mean, I wish everybody the best, but but
I mean, we saw with the Great Reshuffle. No, the companies don't have loyalty to you. They'll shut down because of the pandemic and not pay for your life. And why are you killing yourself working 80, 90 hours a week to make them all the money?
Yeah, I'm too old for that shit. You're going to be paying me or fuck off. That's really shit. I can stay at home. I can stay in bed, right? I like for that's just like I've hit that point in my life.
Can't.
Well, no. You get, no.
I mean, I can stay at home, but I can't stay in bed.
No, you have too much. You have too much. I'm
but I can find things to do. That isn't what I'm doing for you.
I do the same. Like I'm doing the same, right? I'm hunting clients in the meantime. I'm not going out of my way to kill myself right now. I don't have to. That's part of it. But the other truth is, do I want to work for $15 an hour for a place that I'm not going to? I don't give a shit about it at this point in my life. Like, if I have to, I've hit that point in my life where I think if I had to go back to work, I could do it part-time for like a little bit, but inevitably I'd leave or I'd get my ass fired because I just don't like, and I'm being honest about this, right?
No, yeah.
Right.
And it's just something that I totally get because, once you've been your own boss, it's really hard. Like one of the first gigs I had after, I left the writing world and I was never coming back to the writing world. I was working for a very predominant Fortune 500 company. And the guy who brought me in, I was just a temp job. It was a 6-month contract to come in and help them launch a sales enablement program. And the guy that brought me in, I very quickly realized he didn't know anything about. I was hired to create content.
Okay.
And then I created their sales enablement program because he didn't know how to do it. He'd worked in sales and he'd worked in marketing and he thought those were enough. But he was like, he wasn't on Facebook. He wasn't on, he knew nothing about digital marketing. They were building an app and he was like, so the app designer said we should do something, like a content marketing plan for the app. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so what kind of content do you think we should do with that? Because it's our sales team. I mean, why are we creating a content marketing stream for our sales team? And I was like, because you're not creating a content marketing stream, you're creating a sales enablement stream. Yeah. And that is different. And yeah, the app guy didn't specify that for you, but he's like, well, what are we going to share with them? I was like, what's all this content that I'm creating? Why am I creating that content if we're not going to be constantly sending it out to them on the app and reminding them to use it and telling them how to use it? Anyway, he ended up quitting 3 months into my 6-month contract. And then they were going to hire me to be the sales enablement manager. And then COVID happened and they shut down everything. So then I hopped to other jobs, but it is what it is. But yeah, you work with people that you're like, okay, I know that you've been out of college for 15 years, but that's not an excuse. There's this thing called the internet. You can continue learning just because you're not in a classroom.
Well, YouTube's a wonderful teaching tool if you want it to be. It's great.
Yep. And then, if you want something a little more official, which you don't have to, but there's certifications, there's all sorts of LinkedIn Learning. Udemy has courses. There's all sorts of, I'm in the
Yeah.
process of getting my project management professional certification. And I didn't have to, but I was like, do I want to go back to college and do a master's degree? Or would I rather put all this experience that I've had towards a certification that's going to be a quarter of the cost and get me just as much of a pay bump?
Well,
I'm going to go with that one.
I can't wait to talk to you after the air because I'll tell you what I'm actually going to be doing because I'm going to be. It's funny because next month is I get to negotiate, so and it's gonna be fun. It's my first time, but
negotiating is fun. I love negotiating.
Oh well, I've already kind of made the opening thing. The interesting, well, I'll tell you, I'm not going to give
We
away
can
too
talk
much.
after.
Well, I will say this. I think the biggest challenge for me on this job is I offered to help with some of the IP of it. And they want me to stay as far away from it as possible. That's going to be a very interesting thing when I get to months 4 through 6 of this contract because I'm marketing a product. Well, here's the thing. So world building, folks, is great in advertising as much as it is in writing a story. So now this is where this might get a little dicey with me is when I get to marketing the product, I'm going to have to hopefully have IP to work with to market because it's going to be the best way to market this.
Of course.
If I don't have enough IP, what do I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's where it might get
generic
dicey.
planned marketing like we see from a lot of marketing agencies. That's not fun.
Well, no, it also won't sell. Like the other, it just won't sell. You're looking at like when you're looking at creating like especially like a writing product, like any kind of creative product. Like right, there's a bunch of marketing strategies, but one of the most sure, like you look at like book series like The Wheel of Time and The Dark Tower and Game of Thrones and all of these things, right? They have an excellent world to build and to market. So what they'll do is they'll take a character, case in point. George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones for the television, Jon Snow, Daenerys were the biggest two. They were the big two characters they marketed. Why? Because they were the two most likable characters until the season 7.
In a way.
Well, no, they were the more like Tyrion's my favorite. Like in terms of the books, Tyrion's by far and away my favorite.
But you know, they didn't market him until much later because they didn't foresee that.
But that's the thing, right? He is. I knew like it translates well because I met George R. R. Martin years ago and I asked him up front, "Who's your favorite character?" He's like Tyrion, like by far Tyrion, right? It was right. And he answered the question. He was a last minute. So I went to play. This is back when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I was playing in a tournament. I found out George R. R. Martin was got switched for Spider Robinson. It was like because Spider was sick. I have never lost a tournament on purpose quite so fast in my life. Like, please beat me. I want to be eliminated so I can go to that. I'm sorry. I'm not here. I'm there now. So right and no, like, but that's the thing. Like he had us. But this important thing about the note about Martin, and this is also support. Brandon Sanderson does it. Fonda Lee does this to some extent. I think Chris. If you want indie people that do a really good job of it, J.E. Taylor, Christopher Russell. Right, they have these amazing worlds that you can actually really get into right away. Right. But any kind of creative enterprise, your world building also applies to your marketing too. If you market your world building correctly, like when I marketed on Heidi's website, I actually did an interview with a zombie mobster. It was one of the coolest little.
It was great. Right? I loved it.
Yeah.
And my fans did too. I mean that was one of the most popular posts that I had that year.
Yeah, because I went with my world building. I built within the world I had. Right. Also, I think it was hilarious. I had Adam be his translator. Totally that was fun. Yeah. Again,
it's still up if anybody wants to go check it out at HeidiAngell.com. Just search in the search bar, Josh.
Yes, Chester the
It'll
Zombie.
come up under his stuff.
Yeah, and can you do your website again?
HeidiAngell.com. Angel with 2 L's because I'm not that kind of angel.
There you go.
That's it right there.
Yay.
Yeah.
No, but again, it's world building. So you got to build a world. So I understand also doing this project about coming up. I understand why books now take a proper year generally to market. I understand now why. It really, really, and it's something I'm going to think about very closely when I put my next few products together. I might actually start marketing them months ahead of my Kickstarter, because
That's
that
the way
way,
to do it.
yeah. Well, no, well, the other
Get
thing
people
too, like,
interested.
okay. So my favorite Kickstarter like projects are Russell Nolte. He does some of the best.
I don't know if I've seen those.
Check his Godver. Any of his Godver. He has the best customer service on Kickstarter I've ever seen. It's not even close. Like how good he is. So I bid on a few books of his like last year, right? I got them within 2 weeks of the campaign finishing. Like he was like his shit
On
was
top of it.
together. Yeah, shit was together. Like holy crap. Like I would bid another project like that again. Like I'm hoping, and when I have money and he does those sequels, I'll get those because that's what I want. Right. But I'm like, no, but he does both very well. Actually, if there's any hole in his game, if there's just a teensy tiny little hole in this game, he doesn't show his world building enough. That's the only thing I would actually say that, like, and it's not even like a big hole. Like you go and do one of his Kickstarters, his service beats everybody. Like it's not even close. But that's what you're going for, right? So, but one of the things I learned, right, your launch date is your book launch is they treat it like an actual book launch. Like treat your book launch, like treat it like a book launch. Treat it like it's the most important thing on the starting day, and then constantly start advertising,
Building
branding.
up to it.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's, and so I'm going to be,
and before the pre-orders, even. I mean, that's sort of gotten some authors thinking about it earlier because you can do pre-orders, but even before that, you should be building people's interest and whetting their appetites and getting them excited about, the characters that you're creating. And there's some great people on Pinterest that do such incredible mood boards. I wish I was more like that.
well, see, that's what works for me. Like so, but one of the things I'm going to experiment with is everything I've learned in the last, we'll say 4 months of actually being serious about this. I should do a better book launch when I have my physical book for Alice ready to go. I'll probably be doing a lot. I'm going to put a budget of I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to put about $400 into my advertising next time. Like, it's like serious $400. I'm not going to touch Facebook ads this time. I don't think I need to.
Facebook ads are tricky. They've changed.
Well, it's not even that they're tricky. I honestly, I think that they're definitely doable. I know there's a lot of authors that do well at them. They're definitely doable.
It's become so saturated as more and more people have gone into.
Well, also it's not even that. Like for me, what I tend to notice is like this is just this is why I'm playing with TikTok right now a little bit, right? That's why I just posted like I said, the kind of like cocaine videos and stuff like that. What I'm starting to do is I'm going to try to create a regular presence for me on TikTok, because I think like my post with Joe Compton broke 1,000 views. Like, and it's not like it's not even like, and that was just a 3-minute video about the publishing industry decentralizing, right? And but like my theory goes like this: establish a presence, get people used to kind of what you're doing, and then I built a campaign with Jane. I have an idea kind of what I want to do with me for when I have my books physically ready to go to things. And the other thing is, I'm probably going to avoid bookstores, which I think is which I thought would be a counterintuitive strategy, but it's actually
not really. Not with the way things have been going with physical stores. Period.
Well, there are a few exceptions to it, but as a general rule of thumb, like, okay, so my Alice in Wonderland stuff, for example. You know who's going to like Alice in Wonderland other than Alice in Wonderland fans, which is like an obvious no-brainer, right? Theater kids.
Oh yeah.
Right, theater kids. Right. People that like even a little bit of that Carl Jung and Greek mythology fans. I'm mashing up Greek myth. So where should I launch my book? I should probably be launching it in theaters, like any like seriously major Greco themed places too, because it ties into that, right? I should be going there. The bookstore isn't even on that radar at all, right? Now, I might do a bookstore or two because why not? But I'm not expecting, but it's not my audience. And that's the other thing. It's like, I'm thinking in those terms now.
Right.
Who is my audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's probably going to like this, right? So I'm going to try to hit those people as much as I can. And then then what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a bunch of Kickstarters, right? One I'm writing and drawing, scary, but I'm actually drawing one. The Alice books, I want to do those next year. And my current novel in progress, I got a really cool artist I want to work with. We've been wanting to work with for about a year now. And yeah, I want to do, have you ever seen Darwin Cook's Parker novels?
I don't think I have, no.
Okay. I want to do one of those. Not because they're fucking fantastic. Like, they just look so sweet. And awesome. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, and here's the last thing I realized too is, I think the other big mistake authors make, not all authors, just a lot of them make, we're trying to target a general audience too much. Actually, I think.
And it's not just authors; it's all creatives, and it's businesses are guilty of it too.
Yep,
they're horrifically guilty of it. And one of the first things you learn in marketing is, even if you want to market to certain segments, you still need to make the marketing as targeted to that segment as possible. Like, I have one series that literally has 6 different personas for it, and the marketing is different for each of those. Each of those different personas, because these people are going to be drawn to the romantic element of the story. These people are going to be drawn to the detective aspect of the story. These people are going to be drawn to the, and that's the thing is, especially when you're genre mashing, you also have to keep in mind that some people are going to be pissed off that there's too much of the other genre in their book. And so you can't even just target by genre even. You have to really niche down who you're marketing to make it effective.
And the way you figure that out is, what does your book make people feel? Because that's actually that's the big one. That's actually the biggest one. If you can figure that out, right? You like, what does a Joshua Pantelleresco experience feel like? What does a Heidi Angell experience feel like?
Oh,
right?
You can't do that with me, because each series is different, and that's one of the things that I love. My books aren't about me, and that's really fun. I know you think, but they're not. They're not.
No. I'm not. Okay, let me say it like this. This is what I've noticed about, like, okay, Tracy Cooper Posey has a ton of books. She has a lot, but she's got something for everybody. Like, everybody. Right. She's written so many books. J.E. Taylor, I mentioned her. She has 60 books out there. They're all different. They're all like, they're different genres sometimes. They're different. Some are more urban fantasy, some are romance, some are this, some are that, whatever, right? But the thing about
they all still feel like them.
Yes.
See, mine aren't like that.
Why not?
You like, it's the same thing with, you can tell which books that oh crap, what's his name? I was just reading. He's a big suspense author that everybody loves. James. Anyway.
Patterson?
Yes, that's it. James Patterson. Thank you.
Okay.
You can tell which of James Patterson's books he wrote and which ones he produced, because you can hear the difference in the voice, right?
Yes.
And then, like, there are some authors that write under pen names and different things, but when you read a book by them this way and a book by them this way, you're like, those sound familiar. It feels, the tropes are different and the genres are different, whatever, but the voice sounds the same. Mine aren't like that. The voice and the storytelling aspect in the Hunter series is extremely different from the voice in the Clear Angel Chronicles, is extremely different from the voice in the Hell School series, is extremely different. And it's not even just because they're different genres. And it's I think that's one of the things that makes me unique in that regard. I don't have a voice. My series have voices. My books have voices, but I don't.
But that's
and it's really hard because I have to turn around and reread my books to get back into that voice.
yeah.
But that, I started out in marketing before I ever became a published author. That was where I was going to go. And that whole writing to the audience thing was ingrained in me before I wrote my first publishable book.
Yep.
So I went the same approach with that. So it's not my voice, it's the story's voice. It's the voice that's going to appeal to the audience. Just like you do with marketing. Yeah. Although in your case, you don't. You make it very much you. But
well, no,
that's not a bad thing at all. It's a huge shift that's happening in marketing, which I think is great. But I get lost in that.
Well, I blame professional wrestling for that, of all things. You laugh.
I have to know how you do that. Go ahead, tell me.
Because did you ever watch wrestling in the 80s? Okay, so what they would do is they would show like whatever showcase match with whatever talent they're going to showcase. But back in the 80s, early 90s, they would have Mean Gene Okerlund in the back talking about, because they're back in the day, it was live events where wrestlers made their money.
Right.
Right. So come to Madison Square Garden and you can see so-and-so beat up so-and-so. Right. Something like that effect anyway. So wrestlers back in the day had to talk people to come into the building. Think about how hard that actually is. You're talking people to get the comfort of their own home, to go to an arena to pay an overpriced beer, overpriced popcorn, just to watch you do a choreographic fight with somebody else. Right.
Right.
So how did you do that? So some of my all-time favorite wrestlers are from the 80s. Jake the Snake Roberts, but Macho Man's my favorite, like my all-time favorite looking back. But because here's the thing. He made millions of dollars talking people to come to the arena. How did he do it? What it came down to, I mentioned this with politicians. It's true here. He believed in that character. He projected that, like he knew who he was. He knew who he wasn't. And he didn't, and he pretended he was just him. His volume was turned way up. But even so, he was something that was very authentic. Right? And I think what's happened is like, so you have generations like me who are brain damaged by this shit, right?
I would not say brain damaged. Also, okay. I think we're the same generation, aren't we?
Yeah, but you avoided it, so you had different you had different levels of brain damage. You had different, right? Yeah. So you had different. So what happened? Is we again, and then actually we'll take for us around. Musicians, musical acts, that larger in life, the characters you saw on television, like Alice Cooper back in the 80s, and some of the other Kiss, some of the U2 to some degree, right?
Let's throw it way back. Come on.
yeah, right. But that translates through. So what's happened? So this is what happened. Like we have in one way we want to get lost in story, and what is a better story than having some, Macho Man was great. Like you have to go, like you watch any of his old interviews, there's one called Cream of the Crop. It is the most absurd thing. He comes in with like these coffee creamers. He goes, the cream rises to the top. And it is one of the dumbest things you'll ever watch, but it's brilliant at the same time. So it's just one of those things like you watch it and go, and the thing is, ignoring all the nonsense he was doing, that guy talked millions of people to come watch him. He did it because his character connected to people. So so I think the reason, so marketing today, I know who Pepsi is as a brand. I don't have a.
Do you? I don't think.
I do because so back in my economics class, we talked about Pepsi Coke wars. I know an awful lot about Pepsi.
Oh yeah,
I know
those wars were insane.
Yeah, but I know an awful lot. Depending on how you look at it, both won. Coke won because Coke won. If you want to talk Coke versus Pepsi in terms of beverage to beverage, Coke won. But if you want to talk about company portfolios and assets and Pepsi won by a significant margin. Coke is 2% of the world's drinking a year. That is insane when you sit there and think about that how successful that one.
Yeah, but Pepsi's in every restaurant and you know, people still end up drinking it.
Well, no, it's never a restaurant, but also Pepsi is like roll gold. Pepsi's like the brands they have. Like Coke has the range. Like Pepsi still beats Coke. Like in terms of the sheer number of products that Pepsi wins on quantity. Pepsi wins on quantity. Coke wins on like they have was one epic product that just no one can touch. Their other assets are valuable, but it's that one. Whereas Pepsi is this giant. So I know who Pepsi. So yes, to answer your question, I know exactly who Pepsi is as a brand. Right?
But I don't know how much they know who they are. Although they do better than Coke, who changes their brand every 5 years. So
yeah. Well, that's well. Here's the thing. If you want to look at it, if you want to look at them as people, you can't relate to either of them. No one cares. Right? No one cares. And
you have Mountain Dew? Oh, you don't have Mountain Dew? Okay, I'll take Mellow Yellow.
Yeah. No one cares because the thing about that is they're not human. They're not human anymore. They're just giant machines. That's what they are.
Right.
Coke should have almost like this classic iconic feel when they're marketing. This is what they should be. They shouldn't deviate from it too much because frankly, that's the bread and butter. And
they learned that the hard way.
Yeah, they did. They don't deviate from that too much.
No. Yeah.
You do need to experiment a little bit because eventually, again, sooner or later, it ain't going to be 2% anymore. Someday it might go less. It will eventually get less. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's what they needed, but they still have to keep kind of that iconic what people expect from Coke a little bit. And they have to slowly twist that. Pepsi is the more experimentative of the two. They can actually
because they have enough product to you can experiment with one without killing your whole brand.
Yeah, exactly. So Pepsi always is the more flexible of the two. And the thing about that is, but again, if you're looking at them as people, if you want to tell the story of them, you can't because they're right because Pepsi's too big to tell it. Just like in terms of the wide and Coke, you could actually do it. I think actually Coke, it's very possible to do it because Coke they're more specified than Pepsi is. Pepsi's a harder challenge, but I think you could do it with Coke.
Pepsi's a Mormon family.
Yes, they are.
They have so many kids. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, bringing it back around to our earlier conversation.
Yes. But to go ahead and say like that, but to go where marketing is involved, people are tired of the machines. People people are always fascinating. People are always interesting. So you might as well put your best foot forward or put yourself out there in a way that people will understand. Because here's the thing, and as you know this from a marketing standpoint, in one sense, the product doesn't matter. In one sense, what really matters is what is the story you're telling. And what feelings is this product creating? This experience this product is creating for its consumer. Right. If you understand those two things, you can market to an audience.
Yep. Right. And you can literally market anything.
Yeah. That is the truth. That's the good and bad. People buy stories. They don't buy products. People buy experiences. They don't, or people buy into people. They know.
Ask the cartoon of the 80s.
Yes.
They were not for our entertainment. They were for selling Mattel toys.
Hey, listen.
I love toys.
Mattel was smart. They went after us. They
knew how to do it.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed the cartoons.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So my Mattel drug of choice was He-Man. That was my Mattel drug of choice. Right?
Oh my gosh, I love you.
Yeah, right.
He-Man, not She-Ra.
I did not mind. I did not mind the She-Ra.
But you weren't put into a little box because you were a girl. I had a friend who got a He-Man set for his birthday.
Oh God.
And like the whole, like the castle, Skeletor, She-Ra, all the characters, the animals and everything. And so all of us wanted to play, and we were all excited to play. And everybody decided, because I was the only girl at the party, that I had to be She-Ra. I was like, well, She-Ra can kick, or He-Man can kick She-Ra's ass. So if I can kick your ass, then that means I get to be He-Man, right? I got picked up from that party, and I wasn't allowed to watch He-Man anymore. And
I'm
and then there
sorry.
was another. It was really sad. And then there was another charming incident involving hanging a Barbie doll that belonged to a neighbor's, because she convinced my best friend who was coming over to play with me to help her move her Barbie bed with his truck. And then he didn't come play with me. So Barbie had to go. And then suddenly I was stuck with Rainbow Bright. And what was the one with the things that, anyway, there was a
Punky
while that I didn't
Brewster?
watch.
Was it
No, no,
Punky
no,
Brewster?
no. She had those little animals that lived in her hair. She had this long blonde hair.
Oh
Punky was
God.
cool. I liked Punky. No, I don't even remember. It was all like, and I'm a love person, mind you, but I did not love Rainbow Bright, Strawberry Shortcake, or this blonde chick that I can't
Oh
remember her
geez.
name.
I
wasn't,
know who you're
that was
talking
all
about, but
I
I don't
wanted to
know.
watch. My dad
I
wouldn't
don't
let me
know.
watch anything else for like 2 years. It was so
Oh God.
tragic. But I spent a lot of time outside after that. And then when I ran away from home, they decided maybe they should be less strict about what I could watch on TV. I neglected to tell them that I didn't actually run away from home. I just went on an adventure. I had every intention of coming back. I just forgot what time it was. I won. That's what matters.
Yeah, no. So okay. So I hated G.I. Joe. It wasn't my thing. It just wasn't my thing.
I can't say that. I hated it.
That's
It
fine.
wasn't my favorite though. I definitely like T-Man more. I agree with you.
No. Okay. First off, Castle Grayskull was the coolest toy ever. It just was.
Absolutely.
Like it was.
100%.
So I was for He-Man. Again, I was a big WWF kid. I'd be lying. That was my favorite thing when I was a kid. But the other thing, my other love was later on was Ninja Turtles. I mean, right? That was so.
I was totally a ninja, and I was not an April O'Neil. I was Raphael. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. If it makes you feel better, like one of the comics I still collect is the current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic from IDW. It's awesome.
I never got into collecting. I was too poor growing up, and now I feel like I feel guilty about the number of books. You can only see a third of my collection, and that doesn't even include but that's the only thing I feel like I can justify collecting, because everybody in the house gets to read them, even if they choose not to. But having things that I just collect for me, I feel guilty about.
See, I have no such guilt because I'm single, and that's part of it. But the other
Oh,
part,
that must be so nice. No.
Yes, and no. I'm at that point. I'm at that point in my life where if I found someone half as crazy as me, I think I'm ready for it. But at the same time, I realize too, like, I'm the kind of guy that kind of goes out, takes risks, chases dreams. I'm not for everybody. I'm just not, and I realize that too. But but people I am for, oh no, we'd have like I'd be doing the really crazy shit you might read about in the newspapers, like the next day. I would be that guy. But the thing about back when like the Ninja Turtles like thing, I saw it was Kevin Eastman. I saw his name on it, and I saw like Ninja Turtles #1 at the comic shop. It's like, I don't care. I'm in. I'm just in. I didn't care.
There you go.
Right, and it's my longest run. It's almost at 130 issues. So it's like oh my God, yeah. So it's like, so yeah. I personally, folks, like, I loved that run, and I'm enjoying it because it also brings back homages from the cartoon. Like Bebop and Rocksteady are as dumb as you remember them to be. Like they are, it is fantastic.
I love them so much.
But they're more dangerous. But they are legitimately more dangerous in this one because
because it's not just for kids.
Well, no, it's got like, and also like one of my favorite books for the last 2 years was The Last Ronin, which was a really cool a Ninja Turtles story. I won't spoil it if you really like the Turtles, right? And
it's on my TV.
Yeah, no,
I'm excited about that one.
It's worth it, and so yeah, so Ninja Turtles is one of the books. So yeah, I do keep some things from my childhood. My other favorite cartoon from that era was Darkwing Duck. I love me some Darkwing Duck. Right.
Oh, I do. I like Darkwing Duck. You know, I loved Tailspin too.
I'm 50-50 on Tailspin because so hear me out. Just hear me out. I think the first half of the series when he had Molly and Rebecca in it a lot more was better. The second half wasn't as good because what happened in the second half is they weren't in it as much. So you had more, and don't get me wrong, Baloo is interesting, Luby's interesting, Kit were interesting characters, but without it worked a lot better with the original dynamic, in my opinion, and that's just
Right.
me. So
I don't disagree with that. I think
yeah, yeah,
that's very
yeah.
accurate.
So that's why it's 50-50. It's like I don't mind it, but okay. The only Disney afternoon show I hated was Bonkers. That's the only one I hated.
I have no idea. I've
That's
never
good.
seen that.
Is my set? Oh, what's your favorite, Anita? You gotta tell us
your favorite.
Yes.
She's like, I have to pick just one. No, that's my line.
Yeah. Well, no. So like, I mean, but my favorite 4 from the Disney afternoon were Gummy Bears, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles.
Oh, I loved Gargoyles.
Okay, so
oh,
I applaud that choice.
You.
Same thing though. The first 2 years of Pinky and the Brain are amazing. The last year with Pinky the Brain and Elmira is not as good.
I didn't really get into that one because people tease me for being a nerd and a dork. So anything that focused on that aspect, even in an evil, fun, cheesy way, I avoided that kind of stuff because I didn't want to be stereotyped. No. But yeah,
no, Pinky and the Brain's like it's one of the coolest cartoon concepts ever. It like seriously, it's about.
I do agree with that. Yeah,
yeah, and also, who is really the insane one, Pinky or the Brain? Because think about that, okay?
Obviously, the Brain is insane.
Well, of course,
Pinky's just like, I don't know about this.
Well, no,
I like you enough. I'll go along with it, but.
My favorite Christmas episode of any television show of all time is the Pinky and the Brain one. It's my favorite one of all time. It's the letter to Santa, and I think it's amazing. Like the ending of that, that one's worth watching. It is. The ending is heartbreakingly awesome. Like it is one of the most beautiful. Like no. I cannot stress enough like how great that ending is. It's amazing what happened. And it was like because so Brain has a convoluted scheme take over the world, include right. Their Halloween episode is great too, but their Christmas one I think is better. That's my opinion, Anita. Right? So, right. And the reason I say it, I'm not going to spoil it too much, other than to say the whole plot runs on 2 things. All right, for Brain, it's about taking over the world, and they have to infiltrate the North Pole to do it, which is I think great.
Oh my goodness!
But the other part about that is Pinky's trying to get his letter to Santa, and
yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The ending of that and how they tie together is beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful like endings I've ever seen on a cartoon. It's sweet. It's sweet. It's a little heartbreaking, right? But at the same time, magical. It's one of my like. It's not a typical Pinky and the Brain affair in one sense, but the gravity is amazing. I think that is my favorite Christmas episode ever. Like if that is the Christmas I'm watching, I'm in. Right? I'm in. Right? Because I generally don't like Christmas, but that one I literally enjoy. So it's one of those things where it's a great cartoon. I think there's a lot of good cartoons in that era. Late era. Now that I'm older, it's anime mostly, like Full Metal Alchemist, right? Yeah. What you got? Which one you got? What?
That one is I don't remember. It's Rurouni Kenshin.
Okay, that one's good from what I've heard.
Yeah.
So right now I'm watching. For me, it's Kojius, Full Metal Alchemist, and both Full Metal Alchemist are good. Brotherhood is better. I'm not going to deny that, but both of them are good.
That's sacrilege.
Some people would argue. Some people would argue the other
way.
I
know, and I can talk to you about it. Sorry, the original is better. The other one is just.
I liked.
the original.
Here's what I will say. I think the first half of the original, I love the pacing. I love it. I think it does a really good job of letting things breathe. I think the second half, I don't hate it. I don't think a lot of people hate it necessarily, but if you read the actual manga, Brotherhood is way more faithful to it. So and
I didn't get that far into Brotherhood, so. Maybe I
one of the biggest differences in both is Armstrong's sister.
I love
No,
her.
she is
You're
way
gonna
more of
mess
a
with her? Oh.
oh, no, she's way more of a badass in Brotherhood. Like, she's actually what the author intended. Oh
Oh,
my
okay.
god, she is such a badass. But so is, Bradley is even more of a badass than in Brotherhood when you get to
Okay.
right, and it Greed is much more interesting. The biggest two differences are pride, not Bradley. Pride
Mhm.
in Brotherhood is wow. Wrath in Full Metal Alchemist the original is, I think, more interesting than Wrath in uh at I shouldn't say that. Sorry. How do I put this? I think the Wrath fits the Wrath concept better than Wrath in Brotherhood, but I do like
Okay.
Wrath in Brotherhood, who Wrath in Brotherhood is. I'm not going to spoil anything because it's actually worth a watch, right? Uh, so I it's too fast, and especially if you watch the first series, the first 80 episodes of Brotherhood don't hit you the same way because they're
Mhm.
basically a rehash of the first 25
Yeah.
episodes, right?
And that's how
But
I felt, and I didn't make it far enough to
but
see the
no,
rest of
no,
it.
but if you get
So
past
I guess
that,
I'll
like
give
this
it
is
a
the
better chance.
but I also knew this too. But I also knew this too. Once you got past those episodes and you get to the new material, you get to see a lot more of what it is. And I think overall, Brotherhood is better. But that said, there are things definitely I like in the first series more. And I think
Mhm.
the pacing for the first like 25 episodes is phenomenal. And keep in mind when they were doing the second half of the series, I think it's also incredible, but they didn't have the manga to work with. They actually kind of had to go on their
Right.
own. And what they imagined was interesting. They were very faithful to the concept of the show. They didn't
Mhm.
deviate like that. That's one thing I will give them. They didn't deviate from the concept, right?
Right.
What they but in terms of what both series look like the ending of Brotherhood is much more satisfying. When you get to the end, it is
Yeah,
much.
because I have to say that was my husband won't rewatch Full Metal with me because he's like, no, the payout's not worth it, and I'm like, I don't disagree, but the journey is so fun.
The
It
payoff
did
in
feel like it wrapped up really
because they didn't have anywhere to go, right? They didn't have
right.
anywhere to go, right? Whereas Brotherhood, no, I make you this bet, and you have to solemnly swear to do this. Try go past episode 8 of Brotherhood. Just get
Okay.
past it. If you can, because I get it. Compared to the first, because compared to the first series, they had to rehash that stuff because it's part of the whole story, right?
Right. Excuse
But
me.
and you need that for context for what happens next. But when you go
Right.
past all that, I promise you, 90% of what you see in Brotherhood, you're gonna acknowledge to yourself, it was better.
I will definitely give it a try.
Yeah, you have to get it past
Yeah.
8. Code GS is I really like. I enjoyed LaRouche be preparing a journey with one hell of a payoff at the end.
I'll have to
So
check out that one because I haven't seen
the
that one yet.
the first season's great. The second season's not as good. But yeah,
Oh,
but
I hate when that happens.
it's still good. But it's not like the first.
As
It's not as good. The first season was
mhm.
amazing. The other one I'm watching, and this is like my guilty pleasure / fairy tale. It's long. It's my long
My
series.
son, he says that too. He's like, I think you would really enjoy it. I know it's not your typical style of anime, but I think you'd actually enjoy it. And I'm like,
The characters will hook you. The characters
that's what he
are
said.
no
I'm
the
like,
character. No,
hearing it from you, I might reconsider.
the
But I'm
he,
like, I'm a horrible snob when it comes to anime.
it's just
That's
it
not
is.
fair.
It,
I don't judge people based on what they like or don't like. So I'm not a snob in that
I'm just
sense.
gonna I'm just
But
gonna tell you.
I have very specific style of preference,
Oh,
as you can
okay. So
see.
so
I
I'll get
hate the like kitty cartoony, like goofy.
okay. I'm gonna
I
say
hate
this
those.
straight up. I'm gonna say this straight up. Fairy Tale does have a bit of a formula to it, for sure. It does.
And the formula doesn't bother me so much. It's
So
just the
I'm gonna say
like
this.
I
I'm gonna
hate
say this.
chibi.
What?
I said it. I hate chibi. When they
It's
use
okay.
chibi animation, hate
No,
it.
okay. So this is what I will tell you about that. It's a bit formulaic. It is a bit formulaic in some spots, and there are definitely the filler arcs do feel it sometimes. Okay.
And I don't mind filler arcs because I loved Bleach. And
Okay,
Bleach has tons of filler arcs.
Yes. Oh no.
But the stories are, I want to say darker. I like dark shit.
Oh no.
That's part of my problem.
Oh,
I can't, like, one of my friends forced me at a weekend to watch Oran High. Not for me.
So here's what I'm going to tell you about Fairy Tail.
I tried to get into Dragon Ball Z. I just couldn't do it.
Okay, so Fairy Tail is way better than Dragon Ball Z. It is way better.
Isn't everything better? I mean, I didn't say that.
No,
all you Dragon Ball Z fans, I didn't mean that.
No. Okay. We'll get to Dragon Ball Z in just a minute. This is what I will tell you. Fairy Tail is darker than you think, especially the later you go. It gets darker. All right, but the characters will hook you. It's a little over the top. And yes, the story arcs are somewhat predictable, right? But I promise you, right, it will grab you by the throat, by the feel. And so there's going to be some spots in the anime where you'll be like, I'm going to cry right here. There's one.
I am not ashamed to admit that I love an anime that makes me
cry. Oh, no. There is. I
live for them.
I can't even spoil this. There's one of my favorite sad scenes comes from Fairy Tail. It's late. It's about season. It's late. It's in the middle of the run, or towards the second half of the run, and it is deliberately sad. It is one of the it's a time travel arc, kind of. It is and it isn't. Right, and one of the characters that you meet, it comes from a horrifying future and is trying to prevent it, and it comes in a real, and you see hints of this throughout the arc of this terrible future, and there's a crucible point, and it's one of the saddest moments of the show. It will put you in tears. Right, because you see the bonds with how they all love each other, and just like, oh, it hits you right in the gut. It's just like, it's beautiful, it's heroic, and you're going to be like, what the hell just happened here? Right? It's right, because there's a payoff at the end of that arc from that moment, and it could have been the end of the show, like legitimately. It could have been the end of the show. It was that good a payoff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are always good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was that good. Because it's really what the story's about. At the end of the day, that's what that moment, that character's payoff at that moment. All right. Right. Once you see it. Oh, wow. This is what the show is. Like, it's literally right in that moment. This is what the show really is. You didn't have, they had other stories to tell, but if they had chosen to end it right there, it's perfect. It is the perfect ending to that show. So that's all I'm going to say. So I am going to, yeah, you're going to, like I said, get all the characters, all of them have these really interesting arcs, and all the characters, you will find yourself liking characters you didn't think you would. And then you're gonna find yourself go like even one that does some despicable shit. You're gonna be like,
those are often my favorite characters.
Yeah, it's great. There's a parallel universe arc that's really fun in there too. They do all kinds of crazy stuff in this series, but it's the characters that hook you, and it's really really fun. Right, when it's good, it's really good. And when it's how do I put this? When it's
bad, it's a guilty pleasure bad.
Yes. Yes. They actually did their version of a zombie apocalypse. It's the funniest thing ever. Because it's not what you expect, but it's like, oh my god.
Anytime you play with zombies and make it different from the always overdone, I'm down for
Oh,
that. That's why I
it's,
love Chester. Not gonna lie, that's
yeah,
exactly why I
no,
love Chester.
yeah, no, because I decided to have some fun, and I
He
actually,
was fun.
I do have a side story where I actually expand. I like when his daughter like tries to take over the mob. Chester's her protector slash, like he gets a more expanded role, right? He's not just the goon. He's kind of like the uncle. But again, he can't kill
Mm-hmm.
him because he's a zombie. But
Right.
he's like, and everything. So but there are moments. There are moments with him where he's just like, when she gets into trouble, to like he's like, you know, just like, why
Yeah.
me? This
Yeah.
is what I was put on this earth to do. Oh God.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, Heidi. So it has been nice to catch up with you.
You too. It's been too long. I've been too busy
Yeah. I don't
doing
know. Like,
something.
I don't know what's like. I'm in a slightly different position. I'm 40 years old, and it's like I don't really have an exact. I have ideas of what's next, but I don't know what's next. I'm kind of just going through one day at a time right now, right?
Hmm.
A
Well,
lot
to
of
be
people.
fair, that's how I spent the last 2 years. But
Yeah.
now everything is coming together, and I'm, after recovering from all of that burnout and stress and everything, and I have everything lined up and
Are you
just
writing again?
waiting.
I guess I should ask this question. Are you able
I
to writing?
I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I have actually been writing for about 6 months, around trying to release all of the stuff that I had done before. That I'm struggling with. I'm really starting to think maybe I just need to outsource. It's not because I can't do the work. It's because I get into it. I'm just like, this isn't the part that I love, and this is why I wanted a real job, so I didn't have to do this part.
No, I
No, it's
understand.
bad.
Who knows? Maybe we can talk at the air about that too. Who knows, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so so do you know when your next book's coming out?
I have vowed that I am not releasing anything until I re-release all my other stuff.
So when are you re-releasing?
So
When's re-releasing starting?
I'm trying. Oh, I've been doing it for about a year now. Um, and then just things have kind of gotten in the way of and caused it to get slowed down. My husband lost his job, and then I've been struggling with my back issues and um, not had as much productive time as I liked. But the great thing about the writing process is while I couldn't work on republishing and re-releasing all those books when I was down with my back injuries, I could still write
Yes.
through dictation. So I got a lot of new stuff coming through that process, and it's been really fun. I shouldn't say new stuff. It's continuation of the series, all of the different series. So I'm almost finished with the third book in the Hunter series, and I have the bones of the next book in the Clear Angel series put together. And when I'm in a good place mentally, I'm working on Sophomoric Slumber, which is the second book in the Hellsville series. That one's really hard because it's based on my real life experience being stalked in high school. And so I realized as I tried to dredge all that stuff back up that there was a lot of PTSD that I didn't even realize I had
Mhm.
that gets re-triggered with it. So I can't just write it like I do my other books where this is what I'm working on, and I have to break it up in between other things. So
This is
hard.
close. This is close to home because you're just realizing, oh shit, I still feel this, right?
Yeah,
And yeah,
it's
no,
hard.
well, yeah, like I don't know. I speak as somebody like maybe it's with a little bit too much brain damage here for right, and but I think one of the hardest things, one of the things I had to, the first night I went to start fixing my teeth, first night
Mm,
I had to take out all the broken teeth. There's quite a few
right.
that had to be removed, and I remember that night I cried because I realized like for me wasn't so much that it happened. It's that I
Hmm.
let it happen. And so like that was the feeling
Yeah,
inside, right? Right? I
yeah.
let it happen.
And I realized that for me, so one of the rabbit holes I fell down to not too long ago was, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, was Girl Meets World. Fell down that rabbit hole, right? And she's laughing at me.
My husband was so excited to watch. We only made it 3 episodes into it, but yeah,
it's
huge
cheesy,
crush on Topanga. So he was
like,
okay, I'm good.
Because Boy Meets World was a great show, and the idea of doing, even though it's a much cheesier show all the way around, right?
Yeah, totally.
Maya confronts her dad about abandoning her. Like, that is an evolving arc in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a forgiveness assignment from Corey to everybody, and it's Maya's episode.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very end, he goes, "Listen, this isn't about forgiving your father. That's a hard thing to do, and maybe you get there someday. I hope, but that's not what I was hoping for." And she was broken down because she couldn't forgive him. So what do you want? He goes, "Maya, did you learn to forgive yourself?" And that's the thing about any pains we go through in life and anything that happens to us is we have this feeling that we're invincible, or that we're tough, or that we can deal with anything. Life will humble you, right? And there are situations it puts us in that makes us kind of go, oh, it isn't going to go. It isn't going to do its thing. It isn't going to go as I thought it would, right? And I say it like that because that's one of the things. Like I was picked on a lot when I was younger. It's easy to forgive myself because, again, I was who I was. I didn't have the confidence I have now. Now someone tries that, I could pretty much shut them down, make them try to feel as small as they felt, try to make me feel, right? I have that in me now, but I realize too, it's not what I think it is. It's just, I understand that a lot more now from a bunch of different angles, and I can forgive myself with that. But I also can, how do I put this? But everything in my life, what there is I think there's the pain of the thing that happens to you, whatever that is. But the reality, I think what we really struggle with is, I think, honestly, on our most human moments is, I should have been able to do something about this, or I should have been able to see this, or something to that effect, because I have a cat coming in.
Kitty. I know. I'm okay with this. I love cats.
I love cats too. Like truthfully, I prefer cats to dogs a little bit because they're easier when I'm on the road. Cats are a little easier to take care of than a dog, right? And that's what, true. I don't get me wrong. I don't hate dogs. I think what it comes down to for me is cats are naturally a little bit more independent, right? And a little bit more than a dog is. And
I guess it depends on the pet, I suppose. Yeah, I have a Velcro dog, but he's I like my Velcro dog because he goes and does stuff. Yeah. My cats just lay around, and sometimes they'll snuggle with me when I'm laying around, but I like somebody that goes and does stuff.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's
why I love my dog.
And dogs are more prone to do that. Like right now, he is literally in my lap getting a tummy rubbed and petted, and he's like, here, right? Yep. He befriended me pretty much when I got here, so it's like he is. But no, he's a good kitty. He's a very good kitty. But that all said, right? That all said, like you. Like cats, cats, 24-hour lifespan of a cat. They sleep for like 16 of it. They wake up, they eat. Sometimes they play.
And pounce on you while you're trying to sleep.
So they can do that. Some of them do that. Some of them
do that.
Yeah, some of them do that. They lick themselves and then they go back to sleep, right? And what I think it is, it's envy because it's such a simple life. It's just like they don't have to worry about anything.
I couldn't live like that. I really couldn't. I love my cats, don't get me wrong, but I understand why my guys are homebodies and they are very chill, laid back, and that's why they like the cats too. They don't like having to walk the dog every day, and especially when my back is bothering me and I can't walk him. And I'm like, I just wish I could walk the dog.
No. See, you like going out. So you like going out and doing stuff.
I am a doer. Yeah. And my people are homebodies.
Yeah. So. but like I said, that's all right, right? Like cat, like I
Yeah.
said, some cats, like I had one cat, a man. He was a troublemaker, but he was a natural hunter. First time he escapes out into the woods, like he escapes, right? He gets to a fight. Another cat and him start hissing. Next thing I know, between both of them, they rip they knock the mesh through the mesh, and my cat kicking. Oh yeah, and my cat is kicking the crap out of this cat, right? And they disappear. So he comes back. He comes back the next night, and next morning, and there's a dead bird on our doorstep because he caught a bird in the middle of the natural hunter, right? He has but he was a troublemaker, right? He was my cat more than Dad's. But this was when I was a teenager. Dad did not like him very much because he was he was a little more. He was more like us than he was suited. But the thing is, he ended up getting hurt out there, and we just didn't have the money to keep taking care of him, right? So and that's the thing about cat. That's the thing about a cat, right? When they do go out, when they can go out on their own, and they'll for the most part they're fine, for the most part. But when they
my cats aren't. Yeah. But well, so we kind of live where I've seen mountain lions when we're going on our morning walk. Yeah. So our cats don't go outside because we're always seeing in Facebook groups people posting about their cat going missing or their dog going missing or whatever. So we don't have outdoor pets here. We have pets that occasionally will go outside with us. But my husband's like, I want them on a leash. He leashes our cats. Isn't that crazy? And he gets so much anxiety because he's like, if something happened to them, I would die. I would literally die. But my dog goes and eats something stupid, and James is like, you know what? If he dies, I mean, if he has a problem, we're not going to the vet. I mean, he's just gonna have to die because he's stupid. It's his fault. And I'm just like, clearly you like the cats more than the dog. And he's like, I have never disputed this fact.
Yeah, no, like I said, they're easier to take care of. If when I go back on the road, like it's one of the reasons I've never gotten another pets, like because I'm moving too much. I don't think it's fair to the animal. I don't think it's fair to the animal to always be moving like this. Like I saw the toll it took on my previous cat prior to that. Like by the time we got to like we had moved so many times, the cat was just done. Like couldn't do another move. So we ended up taking her to a farm because it was the more humane thing to do at that point. And so again, some people may disagree with that, but it's like, again, she still had everything there. She was still young enough to go out there and do it. But the moves broke her. Like moves can break a person. Like on an animal, it can really break them, especially one used to a certain degree, right? They all, like animals by their nature, like adapt to their environment and they kind of develop their own little territories of where they are, what they're going to do, right? But you're constantly changing that, right? You're not giving them a fair shake. So I've always kept that in mind. If I ever settle down somewhere, like really, really settle down, then maybe I get myself like I said, at that point, I might be open to a dog. Maybe. It depends how much traveling I'm still doing. If I'm doing a lot of traveling still, I'd probably get a cat, not a dog.
I'll tell you what, boarding a dog is expensive.
Yes.
We don't go anywhere unless the dog can go with us.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Dogs require a lot more care. They just do. Like that's just their nature. And
especially big dogs.
Yes.
And mine's a 55-pounder. He's not a small dog. Yeah.
He's a big boy. No, there are some big dogs I really like, but the truth of the matter is, like, they stay home, right? If you have a really big dog, make sure they have space to run because they need it. But besides that,
you're gonna get them out to do it.
Yeah, because they need it. They need that space. So it's like we're talking about, like controlled aggression. They need to get that energy out, right? So and that's your kingship. You have energy and you want to like share it to the world, and dogs do that. Like dogs are way better at that. Cats are like, maybe I feel like you. Yeah.
Yep. Or excuse me, why are you petting the dog and not me?
Yeah,
I was here first.
That's right. All right, cats are who they are, right? So and then the thing is, dogs are more amenable. They're more sociable most of the time than right?
I ironically did not get a sociable dog. This is the first time I've ever had a dog that, well, so he grew up on the streets.
Okay.
He was
That
a
would be
rescue.
okay.
And he was small. We got him at 6 months, and as far as they know, he had been on the streets his whole life. And not a great diet, probably didn't have his mom around. Got bullied a lot, and I know for a fact that it was German Shepherd. That he reacts to anything that looks like a German Shepherd. He just loses his mind.
Okay.
But he was always constantly so like he can't go in the yard without barking at everything. Hey, I'm here, don't mess with me. And that's what he's saying. But what people hear is big scary dog. And then when we go walking, if there's a person that's bigger than me or a dog that's bigger than him, he gets very aggressive. So he's and they're like, you might not be able to train that out of him.
I don't. Okay, on that one, I don't know. I don't know if you entirely want to train that out of him either.
Well, my husband says I don't, but I kind of do because he almost drags me over. Well, I just want him to tone it down a little bit. Make it easier for me.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a mutt, but we're pretty sure. So when we first got him, they were like, we think he's a pit bull. He might be Rottweiler mix or German pinch, or not German, Doberman Pinscher.
Okay.
And then we haven't done a DNA test because, well, that just seems stupid. But every time we take pictures and post them on the different dog, what is my dog thing, everybody agrees that he's a German Pinscher, which is the breed that gets the markings for Rottweilers and Dobermans. That's how they got their markings. So he looks like a smaller Doberman Pinscher, but he has a Rottweiler's head and webbed feet. It's so cute. He's a water dog. I love it. Although he won't go in the water with me. I keep trying.
He just doesn't like it. No, I say all this because I bigger dogs tend to be more protective of the people around them. It's just their nature.
They were bred to be,
Well, that's just what they are, right? That's just how they're built. Usually the bigger the dog, the more protective they are of everything around them. Right? That's not.
I don't know. Anybody who's owned a Chihuahua might disagree with you on that. Chihuahuas, they're extremely aggressive and they're
they're aggressive. But smaller.
They're people dogs.
No, Chihuahuas have a different psychology, right? The psychology, right? The psychology of a Chihuahua or a smaller dog is they're loud. They tend to be louder than the bigger dogs. So
I don't know. Chihuahuas actually Cocker Spaniels have the largest number of bites per breed. Yeah. But they're not as scary as a bite as a pit bull bite is.
Yeah. But
that's why people are like, oh.
When I've dealt with small dogs that introduce themselves, I want to introduce and go, right? Yeah, Chihuahua is aggressive, but but at least with me, they bark. They don't bite, right? Because
you're lucky. The only dog I've ever been bit by was a Chihuahua. Oh, that's not true. The most traumatic bite. How about that?
Okay,
was a Chihuahua.
Okay, fair enough. No, I most small dogs tend to be loud, and they're great. They're great for different reasons. Like in a house, if someone's not supposed to be there, they are the first to know. And you will know very quickly. They're good. They're great at that. Big dogs aren't as good at that. But what a big dog will do.
Oh, my dog barks if the mailman pulls up and he's in the house and he can hear the mailman.
No. You can hear him, smell him.
And
you
he's
can hear
loud. Because he's a big dog.
Yeah,
our neighbors here, every time they walk by our house, our dog goes nuts in the house.
Yeah. No, he feels everything in his territory.
Very territorial.
He's very territorial. But generally speaking, what I've seen is big dogs. They can bark, but they know they can bite. Right? Sounds like right? They know they can bite. So it's a little. Now it sounds like in your case, your dog went through some kind of abuse on the streets, something like that. So maybe it's a little different because of that. But generally speaking, big dogs I've noticed tend to be. So I remember this one runs. They had like a half Labrador, half wolf. That boy was incredibly protective. Like just his nature. He had
wolves tend to be that way.
Yeah, that right. But sounds like your boy's that way too, right? Right. So, and I say, and so, and that's not again. What I've learned with animals in general is you don't fight their nature. Again, you hone it a little bit, but you don't fight it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't want him to be best friends with everybody. I just don't want him to drag me over or hurt my back every time somebody is walking 3 streets away with a dog that's almost as big as him. You know? I get it. I know they're there. You know they're there. We're good. We can go this way. He's like, no, we're going to stop them from going this way. No, dog, that's not what we're doing. We're walking away.
No, it's that can be hard, especially when the dogs are strong. Like it's like, oh hell yeah. When I was younger, I had problems with that. Older, not as many, right? Because it's like,
you know, when I was younger, I wouldn't have had as much problem with it, but because of my back issues, it's like, he tears me up, man. You're
in a different. You're in a.
I'm not a small person.
No.
But yeah, I have a hard time controlling it.
No, it's just again, you have issues you didn't have in your younger days. Yeah. And that's the difference, right? Younger day, it was slightly different era. You probably be like, you know what, this isn't so bad. I'm just gonna, I'd be able to control them a little bit better, and probably there would have been a balance. But since you can't, that's the problem.
Yeah. And then my guys won't teach him to behave better because they don't like dogs anyway. And then he's like the worst example of a dog. So
no, he's not. From what you described, no, he's not.
I love him. But no, like, you know, they don't like that whole, like, I don't want to have to deal with people, and then this dog is making me have to deal with people because he's scaring people, kind of whatever. But it's all good.
It's all good. All right. So from dog talk. So all right. So good luck on all your relaunches, whatever they are. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. And good luck with your career. You sound happier. You sound like overall.
Yes. Yeah. I am in a very, very good place.
Yes. So I'm going to go back up here. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Heidi. I always enjoy having her on the show. We don't do this often enough, right? So, but this is her website. If you want to go visit it, you want to go say hi, this is the place to go. And do you have a particular book you want to discuss, or like whatever your most recent re-release was?
Oh, no, I'm actually, the most recent thing that I'm doing is actually I have a 30-day marketing course that is kicking off, or it's not a course, it's a challenge, but in September we'll be doing the 30-day marketing in as little as 30 minutes a day challenge. Again, it's great for authors who are looking to build a well-rounded marketing plan and figure out how to do that around being super busy and still get stuff done.
All right. So definitely, guys, check that out in September. I know I will. And now it's time for my wonderful plug. So as people have been aware, I make videos for projects and for authors. I do a lot of micro ads. My most recent one with Joe Compton, I actually did as an experiment. Has nearly broken 1,400 views, so it's not too bad. So not from 2 days ago. It's on TikTok. So I will make videos for you for your books, your projects, and all the information can be found right there on how to do that. And I also make copy, our graphics, audio stuff too. So definitely check all that out. And that will do it. I have another great guest tomorrow. That is the one and only Edgar Paston, and we're going to talk about his comic series tomorrow. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.